acquiring more companies to complete a specific portfolio, okay, or an offering to the market, right? So they started introducing more technologies, like the secure mobile access and so on and so forth, like VPN solutions, etc. Okay, and then SonicWall got acquired by Dell. Okay, that's in 2011, around that time. Dell kept SonicWall and other companies, like around 20 plus companies they acquired at that time. They kept them and they created a profile, okay, for something called Dell software at that time. Okay, and SonicWall was part of Dell software. And the idea was to have these companies collaborate and work together for an optimum solution, okay, that can complement Dell offering in the market. So Dell used to be known as what? As a laptop and PC company. That was the initial Dell. Only laptop, PC, keyboard, mouse, that done. But they wanted to change this perception. Okay, so they've been working on it for, I know they've been working on it for the past at least 18 years. That's for sure. Okay. That no, we are not just a PC and laptop and server, we are much more than that. So they started acquiring these companies, okay, etc. Switching, firewalls like SonicWall, storage, Equal Logic, whatever. They started acquiring lots of companies. And then eventually, after this investment is done, there was a bigger elephant that they wanted to address, and that was the EMC acquisition. Okay, so they wanted to get into the storage because that's the future of the money. That's where the money is, in the storage. Okay, whether it's cloud, on-prem, whatever, storage is the money. Okay, so they wanted to invest in EMC, purchase EMC, right? So they had to let go too many of their technologies. SonicWall was one of them that they have to, what? Okay, we're selling out SonicWall as well. So they sold SonicWall, they sold even, what do they call it? No, the security. Secure works as well. Quest, App Assure, all of them. Okay, it's like a Friday sale, right? Yeah, so let's put all these on the desk and let's see who's gonna buy. Anyways, they sold all these companies, investors invested in these companies. We got procured by Francisco Partners, okay, who is, by the way, they own WatchGuard, same investors, they own WatchGuard, and many other technology companies. So these Francisco Partners basically is a specifically investors, technology investors, okay. But it's just an investor, so they're silent. It's SonicWall has its own management, of course. So the management, which also migrated from Dell, and then obviously changed over time, etc. So that's why our team, if anyone of you is familiar with the old team, partially it's still there. Some of the team has changed, right? So here we are today. Since we exited from Dell around 2014, was it? I think no, 2016. 2016, because they invested in that company for 5 years. That was the plan. So since 2016 until now, SonicWall has been putting lots of effort on the R&D, okay, on enhancing their features, enhancing their software, and introducing new products to the market. So the portfolio started as a firewall. Today it's not a firewall anymore. Firewall is just one of those products that's sitting there. Is it a similar portfolio to everyone? I would say yes, pretty close, because even other companies like Palo Alto, Fortinet, SoFos, whatever, Barracuda, each one has a specific plan in head that I want to offer this to the market. Okay, so it's not just the firewall. Firewall is only one piece of the puzzle. Okay, to have proper security, we need too many, ingredients, right? So yes. SonicWall, just like any other companies, we do have too many of the goods that we can put on the table for our customers and can be utilized to secure their networks. So what we're discussing today is a few things. First of all, we will be talking on Capture Client. And Capture Client is basically the endpoint security. Okay, just like Yuri Kaspersky said. So how to protect your endpoint client, how to protect your machines, your iPads, your mobile devices, etc. Is there a way to do it or not? And how do we perform? Okay, how is it made? Our software, how is it made? What differentiates SonicWall from others? If I'm using today McAfee or Kaspersky or whatever, or any product, Sophos, anything, why would I change to SonicWall if I'm happy with what I have? Okay, even if you're happy with what you have, when you see what's you're missing, then you say, oh, maybe I'm not too happy with what I have. So we'll get into these details and how the engines work, etc., and how many engines do we have. Then we'll talk about the wireless, because somehow it's interesting to some of the audience that access points and wireless. Yeah, well, we are not Aruba, okay? We're not Ubiquiti. Our job is not to produce good-looking LED access points. It's not, okay? Our job is security. So what we do is we produce access points, but the value of that is what security we are putting on it. Okay. So if you want to just access point, that's it, done. Okay, then don't buy SonicWall. That's a piece of mind. Don't buy Sonic. If you just want wireless access point there, don't get SonicWall. It's gonna be expensive for you, and you're missing the point. Okay. The idea here is that we are introducing security wirelessly. We're a security company. We're not a hardware company. Okay, so we are introducing security on our access point, and that's the real value that we are proposing. Okay, and the third is there a third topic?
Switches.
The switches. So basically, the idea of why did we combine these three together? Like, why is access point, endpoint, and then switching? Does it ring any bell? Why these three together? Because all the people now are talking about what? About the SD-WAN and the SD branch, and these are major components in an SD branch. Okay, in an SD branch, what do? You put a small firewall, a switch, wireless, and you protect your client. And then you have a now secure, defined branch. So SD-WAN and SD branch, the branch itself is one of the offices that you have to create this SD-WAN connectivity, right? So what do you need as components in the SD branch? This is what you need. So we put all these together. Kind of, if you want to know about specifically about the firewall, this is your interest, and you want to know about the firewall, fire out your questions. Okay, just ask your questions. We're ready to answer. So it's okay for us to change the topic if you have a stop, pause, and change and answer your questions. No problem with that whatsoever. Okay?
And at the end, I will also take quickly through the single pane of glass.
From the management, and then you will see how you'll see everything. You'll see the firewall, you'll see the SMAs, yeah, all what we're talking about now. Okay. Questions? Can we kick off? Yeah, let's do it. All right.
Okay, thank you, Nabil, and thanks everyone who are joined online as well. So I'm Atif. I'll be taking you all through the overall presentation today. So in the presentation, we will do demos. There are some recorded demos, and you can hold on for your questions at the end of each session. I'll take up questions. Those who are online, you can either unmute yourself later when we do the question answers, or you can put this in the chat window so I can take up the questions after the end of each session. So first we'll be doing the endpoint security, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we do WNM, which is how do you manage the full branch from one single console. Okay. So if you see in this slide, SonicWall did two major things. So Nabil was talking about our exit from Dell, right? So there were some good things about Dell, but there was other side of Dell as well. After moving out from Dell, we significantly changed our solution portfolio from being called as a network security vendor. Now we are an entire platform vendor. Okay, so that's where we call our platform as Capture Cloud Platform. Okay, so what all the components of the platform is? One is what we call it as Capture Security Center, or CSC. Now, this is one single pane of glass from where you can manage your entire security solutions of SonicWall. Okay, that's one part, and we'll go into the details and see how it works and what are the components, how they are tied together and all. Now, in terms of solutions, as Nabil was mentioning, in the platform, definitely endpoint security. We are not new to endpoint security. Quite even before I joined 12 years back, there was say endpoint solution. At that time, we used to sell McAfee and Kaspersky. Okay, when I say sell, it was attached to the firewall. So the firewall used to enforce the antivirus. Okay. No, but as things went on, things started changing on an endpoint, right? That traditional antivirus signature base is not enough anymore. So that's why you will see endpoint protection, that is EPP, EDR. Now we are talking about XDR and all that. So we have a interesting solution for that. Then we also do a dedicated SSL VPN solution, or let's say work from home solution. Or most of the companies now, when they work from home or the users are mobile, there is a dedicated solution for SSL VPN. Though we have this component on the firewall, but we are talking about a purpose-built solution on SSL VPN. Then we'll see wireless and switch get tied up with the entire solution. Also, we took our solutions onto the cloud as well. So when I say cloud, let's say if you're using public cloud, be it Azure, AWS. So there are multiple components that we help you to secure your public cloud as well. Or if you are a customer who are building your own private cloud. When I say private cloud, it could be VMware, Hyper-V, Nutanix, KVM, all these platforms. We help you secure that as well. Again, there are multiple components. Email security. We have been doing email security for a couple of decades now. Now things have changed because most of the customers are moving to the cloud, right? Like Office 365 or Google Workspace. So we changed our strategy and introduced other solutions as well, which is called cloud application security. It's not only email. Now, cloud application security will help you to secure your entire SaaS platform. So let's say example, if you're an Office 365 user, we secure your email, we secure your OneDrive, and we secure your SharePoint as well. And going ahead, Teams also will be included. So we are talking about the entire suite of the SaaS, or it could be Google Workspace as well, Mail and Drive as well. And all these are, most of these solutions now have APIs, okay? Earlier, without API, it was very complicated to, if you have, let's say, if you're an enterprise customer, if you have a SIM solution, or solution, it was difficult for you to integrate because every component used to work as silos. Now, with this platform, most of the solutions now are built on a RESTful API. So even if you're having a solution which wants to talk to other components onto the network, we can help you with that. We provide RESTful API. So like the Capture Security Center, which is the single pane of glass, there is APIs to, without even logging in, you will be able to pull up your own screens if you do a RESTful API integration. Similarly, the Office 365 integration that I was talking about, you don't need to change any MX record. No changes required, no downtime required. Without doing any changes, we can directly integrate with Office 365 using APIs. So within 15 minutes, it will be up and running. Yeah. So what do you achieve from that? Whatever Microsoft misses, we will be able to catch that as a virtual inline solution. That's one part. So that's the solution point of view. The major differentiator of SonicWall, okay? Because all these, what I'm talking about, right? Every vendor will talk about a platform because that's what you will also hear about third-party analysts talking about. If you go back in time, let's say 5-10 years back, analysts and researchers, they were talking about best of breed. Yeah. Now, if you go and check Gartner or any third party, they will talk about the platform itself. Because best of breed is good, but then it works as silos. Okay. The firewall does not talk to the switch does not talk to endpoint, all these challenges. Now that's where the platform story comes into picture. Other vendors have it, yes. Every vendor who is talking about a platform will have this. So what is different is SonicWall is the key part, which is down here, which is called Capture Labs. Okay. How is it different from other vendors? First, an important thing is Nabil talked about from where SonicWall started, right? So we started from 1991. Okay. So 30 plus years of experience we have in security. Not only experience, we have the threat intelligence of 30 plus years. Now, when we are talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence, that's what we have from an intellectual property point of view. Any vendor who is new in the industry would not have that intellectual property, what SonicWall has for 30 plus years. That's one thing. Second thing is, so now this threat intelligence is not only on our firewalls. because many of you who have used our products probably are using firewalls or some other components. But if you're not aware of the entire portfolio, you will miss out on these, right? So this threat intelligence is fed to every solution. As an example, even, Nabil mentioned, right, that differentiator of our access point is security. So SonicWall is the first vendor to do sandboxing, that is protection of unknown threat like ransomware or so, on an access point level. Okay, today you can check no other vendor does sandboxing. Okay, other things like application control, content filtering, yes, but sandboxing is different. So our sandboxing is called Capture ATP. ATP stands for Advanced Threat Protection. Okay, so here in sandboxing, so what does sandboxing do? Why do you require sandboxing is, today if we talk about threats, okay, there is known threat for which vendors like us know about this. We have a solution like a virtual patch or a signature to stop the access or say block files. But what is important is that 1%. So 99% of the threats what we see on our capture labs would be known threats. We have seen this before. Okay, maybe it was yesterday or a couple of days back or a year back. Now, what is creating the issue or challenge or any attacks or security compromises that you see are that 1%. So how do you protect that 1% unknown threats? Okay, which vendors have not seen this before, or we call it as never seen before. If I'm as a bad guy, if I take a couple of malwares and create a cocktail, the security technologies will not be able to. You need a very strong technology to identify them. Yeah, you can think about the fileless malware which runs in the memory itself. Okay, and as you know, something when it runs in the memory, you have not second, nanoseconds to identify that. If you don't catch that in nanoseconds, you miss out on that threat. Okay, that's where our capture ATP, that is sandboxing, comes into picture. So there are 4 different engines that parallelly start scanning for threats. Whichever out of these 4 comes up with a verdict saying, okay, this is a malware, because there are each one of them is doing a different technique. Okay. If you ask me, like out of these 4, which is the most effective, what we have seen from our research is the one which is called RTDMI, real-time deep memory inspection. This is a patented engine of SonicWall for sandboxing. Okay, so out of these 4, RTDMI is the most effective. So like fileless malwares, even processor-based threats. Okay, why it is effective is because that's the one which catches malware in nanoseconds. Yeah, that's where SonicWall stands out from other vendors. Okay, so single management plane, but the differentiator is the threat intelligence and sandboxing functionality. Okay, so where all we can sit in your from a solution point of view is, this is a diagram of a architecture. Let's consider on the right hand side, you will see our management platform, that is Capture Security Center, where there are different components like sandboxing onto the cloud, firewall manager. So if you have multiple locations, you can manage the firewall. There is SASE solution called as Cloud Edge, hosted email security, all those. Now let's consider you have a data center. So in data center, from a security point of view, there are multiple components that might be required, right? Starting, let's say, you would require a perimeter or an edge firewall to protect your network, do VPNs with your branch offices. So we have, starting, we'll see the different models, but there are different models to cater to different industry and requirements. Okay, it could be perimeter firewall, or it could be data, the core firewall. When I say core firewall, if you have east-west traffic, servers talking to other servers, user talking to servers, that will be taken care by the core firewall. So again, there is hardware and there is virtual platforms as well. Okay. Then customers who have not moved to, let's say, SaaS, let's email or so, who are still using Exchange or any other email, then we have on-prem email security as well. Okay. Now we are talking everything about cloud, right? If some of the companies, like there are some finance organizations or banks or so, they don't want to send data to the cloud. Okay. In that case, how do we take care of sandboxing? Okay. How do we catch unknown threats? So what we did is we bought the sandboxing engine on-prem with an appliance. So for an enterprise customer, that is also available. The other components should be switches, wireless, and mainly, to take care of the endpoint, there is capture client. Same thing with the branches. If you are having one branch or multiple branch, we introduce this software-defined branch offering. What it means is, now SonicWall has multiple components, right? We stitch together and make it a solution. Like example, when you log into this Capture Security Center, which is a central management plane, the entire branch, if you have one branch or 100 branch, doesn't matter, you will be able to take care or manage, do reporting analytics for the entire branch from here. Yeah. So that, and then small offices, starting from lower end solutions, we cater to all those, be it entry level, SMBs, enterprise or large enterprise. Then comes the cloud. Okay, cloud one is what I mentioned was SaaS application. So if you're using Office 365, Google Workspace, Box, Dropbox, we can help you with securing that. Or if you have moved to public cloud or private cloud. Yeah. Now this is how the single pane of glass looks like. I'll go more in detail to show you what is the advantage, because this is one pane of glass from where you can not only manage your multiple, let's say, multiple branches, but as a company, let's say you have multiple business units. Okay, each of the business unit might have different security administrators or a team managing it. You can do multi-tenancy here as well. Like company A who is into retail might only use a firewall, for example. Okay, another company within as a business unit might have our wireless or capture client endpoints. So that also you can get, if you are using multiple solutions of SonicWall, there is something called as Unified Insight, which will give you the full details of, let's say, firewall, access point, and switch. Okay. There's no license required. Only thing is you need to be a customer using multiple solutions of SonicWall. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. cloud.sonicwall.com. Okay. So coming to this, I told you our differentiator of multi-engine sandboxing. So this is how it works. Okay. Let's consider any user, okay, who is trying to unintentionally, he might be downloading some threat or a malware. So what we usually do is, this goes to, let's say, example, if he's behind a firewall. Okay. So the firewall will first try to see if this is a known threat. There might be signatures, the 20,000 plus signatures on the appliance, gateway anti-malware, all that will be checked for known threat. If there is a suspicious kind of file, okay, those only suspicious files are sent to sandboxing. So what sandboxing does is it takes care of this unknown threat, because we are not sure. We don't know whether it's a malware or not. Okay. So those file goes to sandboxing. So how many files would be in your mind, right? If I'm using downloading 100 files, will all 100 go? No. So what we have seen is about 4 to 5% of the threats could be suspicious, or the files could be suspicious. So only that they are sent to the cloud. Now, when they go to the cloud, before sending it to the cloud, we do one thing interesting, which is again a differentiator of SonicWall. Now, before we sending it to those multiple engines, what we do is, yeah.
That's a, it's from unique system. You know the big guy did that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This, when I took it off.
Yeah. Okay. So what we have is we have a database of about 62 vendors. Okay. When I say 62 vendors, it could be our competitors as well. It could be McAfee, Kaspersky, Fortinet, Sophos. So we have a repository. Probably SonicWall has not seen this before, but maybe McAfee has seen that thread before. So we compare the hash value of them. Okay. Now all these 62 vendors have not seen this malware before or a thread before. Then we send it to this parallelly to 4 different engines. Okay. Whichever engine comes first and gives the verdict saying there is a malware or a threat, we will block it. Okay. Now this is from a security point of view, this increases the security effectiveness completely. Because if you say, okay, how are you different? Not only 4 vendors, 4 engines using different techniques. Okay, that's one. Second thing is not all four are from SonicWall. So we have two SonicWall and two third party. That makes it much more security effective, because if you have, let's say, 4 engine from SonicWall, and let's say same team is building this 4 engines. Okay. So there is no point, right? Like same team, same research happening for 4 different engines. So what we do is best of the breed plus our threat research. So 2 engine from SonicWall. So that's the differentiator. So this is what you get with SonicWall. Outside SonicWall, if you look at other vendors, there might be some vendors who say, okay, I have one sandboxing engine or maximum 2 sandboxing engine, and those can be from their own. Okay, so that's the differentiator.
Sorry, sir, I lost the catch.
Yeah.
This is the multi-engine.
Multi-engine sandboxing.
There is an unknown threat is coming.
Correct.
So there are a couple of engines.
4 different engines.
Four different engines. One is a capture.
No, so under capture ATP here, right? So here, so the entire thing is called capture ATP. Just to show you the difference. So here there are 3 and there is one RTDMR. So totally 4.
Totally 4.
All this is called capture.
But what is the mechanism they use it over there? What is the engine they use it inside?
Yeah. So here, so this is the patented engine of SonicWall called as real-time deep memory inspection. Then there is, then there is hypervisor level analysis done. And then couple of from the virtualization point of view. So there are multiple techniques used only in this.
Or they use, last time I think you mentioned you use Sentinel-1.
Sentinel-1, I'll come to that because here there is no Sentinel-1. Okay, Sentinel-1 will come on the endpoint.
Endpoint.
So apart from all this, if you have an endpoint, you will also get Sentinel-1.
Okay.
Yeah. So here, have you heard of Last Line? Last Line is a vendor who is dedicated in sandboxing, and there are a couple of others that we use. So 2 from SonicWall, 2 from third party.
But all other, for example, Sophos, even other, they all use this kind of.
Yeah. So for example, if you specifically ask about Sophos, Sophos did not have the sandboxing engine. They acquired a company called Cuckoo. Okay. So they do, and they'll have a couple of techniques or engines to do that. Yeah. SonicWall, when we introduced this engine sandboxing, we were the first vendor to do 3 engines at the same time.
3 engines.
Then we added RTDMI, which is to make it much more effective.
So this is not any kind of, but this kind of a mechanism they use it over.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this is not only on the firewall. Irrespective, if you're using endpoint along with Sentinel-1, we will use multi-engine sandboxing. If you're using access point, we will use. If you're using cloud security, we'll use this. So that's why you will see down, all this threat vector could come from any of this. Yeah. Now coming to the interesting solution and why this is required. Okay. Here are some of the numbers. So you'll see the rise of endpoint attacks. Okay. Interesting thing is, if you go back in time and see where we started doing security, what was the first thing which came in security was the endpoint solutions, right? At that time, we had like Trend Micro and other vendors were mainly focusing on, at that time, signature-based technologies used to work perfectly. So commodity malware and all that was okay to do with those kind of solution. But today, threats are getting much more focused. Okay. It could be, on endpoint or otherwise as well, like phishing. Emails are not, though phishing and email still is the first #1 threat vector, but the way phishing is done is completely different now. Business email compromises, targeted attacks, phishing, whaling, all that. Yeah. So what I was saying is, for me, it looks like we are going back in time where we started again focusing on the endpoint, because that becomes the last line of defense. So if your network is not able to stop a threat, if your application or other is not able to stop, the last line of defense is the endpoint. So you need to have a very strong solution which takes care of the endpoint itself. Yeah. Because if everything fails, then you have. So what are customers looking for today? Okay, why do you need these solutions which are called EPP, EDR? Okay, now the traditional antivirus, and this is one of the segment or one of the vertical where you'll find thousands of vendors in this. Okay. If you say firewall, SIM, you will have vendors, but not like what you see on the endpoint. There are too many companies focused on doing endpoints, right? Now today, that traditional signature-based technology doesn't work anymore, because today, if you see every day, there might be millions of threats. So you cannot create, millions of signatures or one signature for all, right? So that's where you need those solutions. Like example, EDR. We talk about EDR, Endpoint Detection and Response. Okay. So endpoint detection and response is like one, it gives you full details as to what is happening, how the threat moved. It will give you the details as to, okay, what DLLs were affected, what part of the network, how it spread, lateral movement, all that, which traditional antivirus used to not do, right? Traditional antivirus, okay, there is a DAT file, it checks the signature, checks against this. If there is a threat, pop an alert to the user, block or allow. Okay. More than that, you could not do anything. You could not analyze how the threat came in, from which network, how, whether it spread or not. So you had to waste a lot of time to get all this. So that's where EDR. So first they said EPP, endpoint protection, which was using machine learning, artificial intelligence, and then EDR, which is endpoint detection and response. Now, endpoint and detection and response gives you one step ahead, where it will give you full details. Like I'll show you something called as attack storyline, which will tell you how the threat came in, okay, which processes were affected, how it spread on your network, how many machines were affected, all those details. And then it will give you the capacity to even respond to attacks. Okay. So you as an administrator manually or automatically can isolate the machine. Okay, if let's say worst case, if the machine is infected, you can isolate the machine. Or Sentinel one, I'll talk about the solution. There is something called as rollback as well. So there are some unique things which EDRs will help you on. Yeah, and then today, there is proactive security. So EDR and all, what we'll do is, as soon as the threat comes in, it will do a dynamic analysis, machine learning, profiling of your machine and all that, and stop the threat. But now, to be proactive in security, there is also, you must have heard of something called as threat hunting. Threat hunting is going one step ahead to see or hunt for attacks or threats which are not known. Okay. So you say, okay, there is an adversary or indicators of compromise. Okay. So this is there, whether it is there in your network or not. So that is by threat hunting. Okay. So to be frank, threat hunting is a proactive thing in security. So you would require a team, or let's say a separate SOC knock team who does the monitoring of this. Okay. One guy managing the entire company, he'll not be able to do threat hunting because you need skills for that. Okay. That's where, our partners comes into picture. Okay. So we provide EDR, but let's say if Emtech starts doing MSSP, for example, managed services, they can then do the MDR, which is managed detection and response. Yeah. All these platforms help you with that. Okay. Now coming to the SonicWall's story on our endpoint. So I was telling you, we were earlier doing solutions for McAfee and Kaspersky, but as the endpoint evolved, we stopped them and we tied up with. Okay, good thing what I like about our engineering is we did not, like, there are some vendors who bought up their own antivirus engine and said, okay, I have endpoint. Okay, so we did not do that, which is interesting. So what we did is we tied up with industries, one of the best EDR solution, which is Sentinel-1. Okay, so some of you might have heard Sentinel-1. So the solution, what we call it as Capture Client. Okay, so in Capture Client, when you install it on your machines, okay, it could be Windows machine, it could be Linux, Mac. So when you install this client, you are actually installing Sentinel-1. So all the protection what Sentinel-1 gives you in terms of rollback, attack storyline, threat hunting, all this is provided. But there are other advantages as well. Like yesterday, a day before, I was presenting in Kuwait. Okay, so people, there were many partners who were doing direct Sentinel-1, and they were not aware of this. So I said, why I need to sell SonicWall when you also do Sentinel-1 and we have direct, integration or partnership with Sentinel-1. So there are some couple of other advantages of using, Sentinel-1 with capture client. I'll come to that. I'll keep the suspense for some time. Yeah. So what we do is whatever Sentinel-1 provides, right? So if you look at Sentinel-1, there are major three phases. So which is pre-execution, on execution, and post-execution. These are the parts of an EDR solution. So what is pre-execution? Before the threat is executed, let's say if a user is downloading, okay, downloading some file. So the traditional malware, anti-malware, what you used to do is check with the basic thing was check with the signature base or dat file or so and see if there is a match. Okay. And that required you to continuously update your endpoints because that file need to be updated. If the dat files are not updated or the antivirus is not updated, then new threats might not be stopped. Okay, that was the challenge. So that itself is called as a pre-execution before a threat is executed. So now what we do is now using some intelligence of cloud, and there are other things like static engines also which sit on the client itself. Plus we have cloud intelligence. So we'll send Sentinel-1 will send this hash value on to the cloud and see if there is a match, if they have seen this before. So using cloud intelligence, whenever the user is downloading the file itself, it will be blocked. Okay. The question might be if I don't have internet access on the endpoint. So what you lose is the management. Okay, at that particular time for 15 minutes, I'm not, on internet, but there is something happening on my machine. How does Sentinel-1 protect you from that? There are something called as static engines. Okay, if cloud connectivity is not enabled to check for those threats, then static engines will kick in. Okay, this is called pre-execution. Now, what is on execution? On execution means I'll take a use case where let's say there is a malware. When you're trying to download it, it does not exhibit any kind of malware activity. Okay. Never we have not seen this before. Okay. One fine day, maybe 1st of July, for example, or it's like a time bomb sitting on your machine.
Okay. Technology
On
for internet.
somebody is
Sure.
talking. Okay.
So transfer the file to WeTransfer.
Hello.
Because I believe that I checked the speed test. Speed test is working fine. Maybe that file is little bit heavy. That's why it take time for the uploading the file.
Can you mute
Yeah,
yourself?
because in the WeTransfer they have their own server and they have storage space. Yeah, might be. Okay.
Can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
So here,
Yeah.
see, most of the time we have seen this ransomware and all. When you say pre-execution, but must be the virus or the malware sitting on a computer that is the particular day get activated. That
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So I'm coming to that. So what happens is on execution, let's say these kind of malwares. So what happens is when you install the capture client, when it gets installed, right? So definitely Sentinel-1 is installed. So first time when you install, we scan the entire machine. Okay.
Initially.
To see if, yes, initial. And to see if there are any threats. If there are any threats, it will be, quarantined or cleaned. But from that time onwards, what we do is called as continuous monitoring. So we kind of profile the machine or profile the endpoint to see then, what are the processes running, how the file, if somebody is even moving a file, it will be scanned to check for threats. So that is what is called on execution. So it is behavioral analysis using machine learning, artificial intelligence, and multiple techniques that are used to track all this. As an example, okay, we have seen that customers were using, some kind of a backup, like for example, VSS of Windows, volume shadow copy service. And when they had a ransomware attack, they could not retrieve those backup, the VSS snapshots, because the ransomware would first try to attack these files or the snapshots. Even though they had invested or enabled these features, they were not able to retrieve. That's where the post execution comes into picture. This third stage is the post execution, which means when so this is on execution. During the execution, if like a time bomb setting one fine day, it triggers on its own without any intervention. So behavioral engine will stop. Then worst case, let's say we are not able to do anything, or let's say a threat executed, but we could not quarantine it, for example. What do you do in that case? So that's where post execution comes into picture. Okay. When I say post execution, that means after or during, so the execution, right? We can isolate the machine completely from the network. Why? Because if I have two machines, if they are in the same VLAN, if there is no firewall in between or anything to stop, the first thing what a malware today would try to do is lateral movement. Because that's why you will see, right? One machine infected and hundreds of machines get ransomware attack on the same time. Because the first thing what they do is called as lateral movement. That's where techniques like isolation would stop. So it will contain the machine here itself. You will not have any communication, even you cannot even ping this machine. So that's how we lock it. Okay. The only communication this client will have is to the management console of capture client. Got it, right?
It means one machine got affected, it get disconnected from the network
No,
automatically.
automatically you can do it. So there, or you can do it manually, both.
But how do you know 100 machines are there? Maybe one person.
That's a configuration. That's a configuration. If you say that, okay, if I see a threat and if I'm not able to take any action, okay, or let's say worst case, okay, Sentinel-1 could not stop, or your machine gets infected with a ransomware. Okay, so as part of post execution, you can roll back the machine. There is one-click rollback, which is very unique, and differentiator of this solution which Sentinel-1 provides. Okay. Other vendors, can they do rollback? Yes. But what is the difference in Sentinel-1's rollback versus other is? The other vendors would do a partial rollback, file and folder. Okay. This engine of Sentinel-1 does a complete snapshot backup or restore. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Those of you are online, so you can either, I'll take up the questions at the end. So if you have any questions later, you can unmute yourself. I'll let you know, or you can type in your questions as well. I can check that once I'm done with this session. Yeah. Okay. Now this is what the capture client provides. So you'll see here, Sentinel-1 is getting installed. Yeah. Now, what is the advantage of having SonicWall versus Sentinel-1 is? So with Sentinel-1, we will add additional security, which means you see here the capture ATP. That means SonicWall sandboxing is included in the capture client, which means Sentinel-1's threat intelligence, whenever Sentinel-1's confidence level on a threat is low, those kind of files are sent to the multi-engine sandboxing of SonicWall. So now you can imagine, okay, the strong threat research or the capabilities of EDR of Sentinel-1 plus 4 engines of SonicWall. Okay, that's where the security, the effectiveness goes up. That's one thing. Second is if you are having roaming users who are, working from home or others, how do you stop them from going to any bad websites? When they're in office, yes, your firewall will be there or content gateway will be there to stop them from bad categories or websites, or to even, for better productivity, you might block something, right? Like social media, for example. But as soon as they move out of the office, they are free. They can access anything, right? Because there is no solution. So what we did is we integrated the URL filtering functionality into this. So if you have roaming users, along with Sentinel-1, you can also use URL filtering. Okay. And as part of the roadmap, there will be DNS security and other things which will be getting added as well. So this client is called as a unified. That's the reason we call it as a unified client. There are also plans of introducing a VPN client into this. So if you're using SonicWall, this will be your client. Yeah.
So one thing, yes, suppose I use the laptop my home, as soon as you get to the internet, if you have the Sentinel client is already there, must be in the portal for the cloud portal, it get updated already, no? In my laptop.
Yes, yes, definitely. It will get updated. No, what I'm saying is, if you have only Sentinel-1, if you are not using Capture Client, which is from SonicWall, okay? So
Capture
these
Client.
functionality of sandboxing, URL filtering will not be available with Sentinel-1 only. So this is another couple of other advantages of using SonicWall versus Sentinel-1.
One more, you said 4 engines. That
Yeah.
is the capture ATP, that only you're talking
Correct,
about.
yes. Again, so whichever technology we talk about, for threat detection, that 4 engines will come into picture, be it wireless, be it endpoint. Yeah, so for all, it is integrated. Yeah, USB device control. So I'll show you some of how do you do a management of this? Okay. So we don't have any on-prem management for endpoint because that's where the industry is moving, right? Like if you see some of the top EDR solutions and all the solutions that have been delivered from the cloud. The same thing for us. It's delivered from the cloud. Cloud managed capture client is what you see. So Sentinel is one of the known vendors in terms of EDR. So if you see, Gartner, if you see MITRE attack framework, they'll be on the top. You'll see MITRE attack, Sentinel on top. So these are some of the data points. So now what we did is additionally, I was telling you that we added sandboxing. Okay, this is where it changes. So you have these things from Sentinel-1. Whenever the confidence level of Sentinel-1 is low, we introduce this part. So it sends it to parallelly 4 engines to see if there is a threat or not. Okay. So that is how the effectiveness of the solution is drastically increased. And spoke about this. Okay. ICSA lab, all this, we are recognized. Whatever recognition is there for or collateral is there for Sentinel-1, our capture client would have the same one. Like if they're Gartner, yes, capture client, you can say, because we are using the same engine. As part of the EDR, I was telling you about the attack storyline. So this is an example of attack storyline. So you'll see here how the attack is moving, what are the EXCs, what are the processes involved, IOCs or indicators of compromise. You'll get full details in attack storyline here. This is that interesting part, which we brag about as well. That is rollback. Okay. So you'll see here, there is an option of rollback. So in this case, we were not able to quarantine a file, let's say, okay? Or worst case, it can be encrypted as well with a ransomware. So as an administrator, you have a capacity to roll back the machine. So how do we do it? We use the volume shadow copy service of Windows. So the prerequisite is for rollback to work, you need to have Windows with VSS snapshot enabled. Can you do it on the Mac? No, because VSS is not there. Yeah. We can also automate it. As part of the configuration, you can say that as part of the mitigation action, automatic rollback can be enabled. Yeah. USB device control. Some vendors only do USB. This solution does Bluetooth and USB both. So you can, as an example, you can block particular type of USB devices, or you can say, I allow USB, but mass storage is blocked. For some groups, you can allow. If it's allowed, also specific vendor ID or serial numbers are allowed. So all that as part of device control. If if the access is blocked, then user gets a notification saying the USB is blocked. Similarly, how you see here. This is an example of content filtering. When users are okay. Now here, what happens is, it's not a must that you need to have a SonicWall firewall to have our endpoint. Okay, we sell this completely as a standalone solution as well. But there are some advantages if you use our firewall plus capture client, like your enforcement, that is installation of the client can be done through a firewall, through an enforcement. Then if you integrate our firewall and the endpoint, okay, on the licensing, you can say, okay, let's say you buy, 100 licenses. Okay. Now, out of these 100, you have, let's say, as an use case, you have 10 locations. And for simplicity, you say that, okay, every location has 10 clients. So you can say, okay, my 100 clients, I'll share 10 with firewall 1, share 10 with firewall 2. Okay, so what happens is when the user is in the office, firewall will do URL filtering or content filtering. Okay, because the client knows that I'm behind this particular firewall. As you go out and connect maybe to a Wi-Fi or your home network, it now knows that I'm no longer behind the firewall. So my URL filtering capabilities has to be triggered. So it switches on it. So that's the advantage if you have SonicWall firewall plus endpoint. But that doesn't stop you from doing, if you're a non-firewall user of SonicWall as well, then you can still use endpoint as well.
1 second, sir. Like, before you have URL and content filtering.
Correct.
Correct. And
Yeah.
head office. Suppose I take the laptop at home.
Correct.
Connect to the,
Yeah, so you'll still be protected.
still be protected.
Yes, to go into any bad website because of this functionality.
Okay.
Yes,
Alright.
Yeah.
Provided you have the capture.
capture client, yes,
Already configured in the laptop.
yes.
Okay.
So when you're in office, the client will detect that, okay, you're in office, firewall is taking care of URL filtering. As you move out, it will trigger the URL filtering policies.
That's like prevention control.
Mhm.
When working.
Yeah, all that is part of the endpoint. Yeah, that is there. Yes, yeah, all is there. This is an additional to whatever Sentinel-1 provides. This is addition to that.
So whatever the services, what you have it in the firewall, same you will get it, you will take the carry the laptop and go wherever you post.
Correct. Yeah, URL filtering policies.
Not everything.
Not everything. Not everything. Yeah, because this is endpoint, right?
Endpoint, yes.
Firewall is a network level. So whatever threats come on the network, that will be taken care by the firewall.
Yeah, only that.
This is the last line of defense. If everything fails, last line of defense is the endpoint. Yeah. Additionally, because we are sitting on the client, we will have application intelligence as well. So you can do application whitelisting or so, or we also give you that to see today, if you talk about threats, right? Most of the threats are because maybe there is one particular application which is sitting on the machine, which could be vulnerable. Okay. So we give you that intelligence saying, okay, this, let's say example here, there is an application called as a source tree, which might be a good software, but it might have vulnerability because you're running an older version. Okay. So those kind of intelligence is also provided as part of capture client. So it is called application vulnerability intelligence. Okay. How do you fix this? As an administrator, you'll get how many machines have this application which is vulnerable, why this is marked as high, you will get those details. In terms of fixing, you will have to fix it. Maybe you do patching or updating or if the software is not required, you can uninstall that.
Did anyone try this? I don't know if you did you try the capture client? No, okay. But you have endpoint security, right? Organizations? Okay. In terms of, if you compare what you're having now to this, how does it feel? What do you think? Give us your feedback. If you can. Like the solution that you have, make it easier, because I know that the solution that you have today, can you achieve the same results as with the capture client? Do you have that level of protection, do you think? And management, flexibility, mobility. Do you have that? Yes or no? Whatever. I'm not gonna ask you what you're using, but if we are comparing,
This solution here.
yes, the capture client, the endpoint security. Yeah,
That's payment, firewall plus endpoint level security.
exactly. Yeah,
You put them together
yeah,
for the.
absolutely. And there's so the core is the Sentinel. We mentioned already,
Yeah, yeah,
right? So
yeah.
the core is Sentinel-1. There's multiple engines. There's the RTDMI, right? So there's these content filtering, etc. So all these services are already there on an endpoint, right? I don't think, looking at any vendor today in the market, that there's such a level of sophistication being and complexity in the term in a good way, I would say, of the amount of services being provided on a single lightweight agent. Okay, because if we are going to package all this together and put it as as an agent on an endpoint, obviously this should logically kill the machine, right? Because if you even look at an antivirus, traditional antivirus, the moment it's scheduled for scanning, for example, what will happen to your device? Just leave it alone, leave it in peace. It's working, right? So to have all of this together running in the background without even feeling, the heaviness, of this technology being eating all the resources of your device, that's the thing. That's quite the thing. And I always talk about this specifically. Okay, I don't go into technical details. I talk about experience because I've tried it myself. And I'm coming from a technical background as well. So I used to do lots of networking and training and technical stuff, building up networks, playing around with the technology. And with all the knowledge that I had, whenever I'm doing something to my machine, or I'm doing something major and serious and I don't want it to crash or do something stupid, what I used to do is disable the antivirus immediately. Okay, don't do anything. Just stay away for now. I want to work, right? I don't want any interference or anything, heavy on my machine. So I have that habit, and I know everyone in those days when they want to do something like that, or when they're worried about their machine, they used to disable the antivirus or whatever that is possibly may kill your machine. Trying to protect it, but it will kill it literally. Maybe not allow any infection to happen, but in reality, it's not even letting you use the device anymore. It's dead until it's done with the task. So this one, when I honestly I didn't know it was installed on my device. It was pushed by the company image. I did, and when I was clicking, like, what is this icon there? I never clicked on it, and it was the capture client. Unbelievable. It's not even there. It's like the clock. As you know, the clock of, have you ever felt that the clock is eating resources of your device? Never, right? It's exactly the same. It does not take, and even if you check, for example, the task manager or whatever, there's no resources being taken by that agent. But at the same time, it's giving you tons of features, tons of security as well. Okay. And we're not claiming to be the best in endpoint security. And that's why it's not just SonicWall solution. There's multiple solutions involved, right? And that's why we have this contract with Sentinel-1. Maybe at some day, yes, we will say that now we have the experience and we're going to drop Sentinel-1 and continue with our own engine, maybe. But today, we still are using the best in the market when it comes to endpoint, and that is Sentinel-1. So Sentinel engine on our agent with other services from SonicWall. So I would say that's a close to perfect bundle. If you want to have something like as bundled and put on a client, okay, to provide all these services, that's the perfect scenario. No load on the device. Okay, it's running smoothly. You have all the services you need, and it can be managed also from the same console where you manage your firewalls and which is the single pane of glass. Okay, so if I was a user, if I own, for example, my company, or if I'm the IT manager of a specific company, and I want to have this kind of a solution, I would say this is a perfect setup. Okay, and yes, maybe other vendors they do that, maybe not, I don't know. But from SonicWall, this is our offering to the market, that this is the best way we see, okay, that is suitable for an IT department to manage and protect their devices. Okay, so yeah, sorry, Atif, interrupted.
Yeah, because that was an interesting point which Nabil brought up, right? Lightweight, because there is no you don't need to do a scheduled scan. There is no live update server required because there is no signatures at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus, you might have seen whenever you do the scan, your machine slows down. So that is not required anymore. Because why you don't require a scheduled scan? Because we are continuously scanning it, continuous monitoring. So when you're doing a continuous monitoring, you don't need
to refresh.
You don't need. Yeah. Is there an option to scan, right click scan? Yes, there is. Okay. You can reboot, you can scan, all that features are there. Additionally, I was telling you about threat hunting. Threat hunting is like proactive security. This requires some, a team or so, but so you'll see as part of, if somebody knows about Sentinel-1, there is something called as deep visibility. So we have that So you'll see all the processors, DNS, registry, all information is fed to the Sentinel-1 engine, which gives you much more proactive details about indicators of compromise. If there is a threat, which is, if let's say Sentinel-1 threat research team has seen something which came in today, you want to do a scan, right click and see on your machines it is there or not in your infrastructure, you can do that. Okay. So instead of showing you here, I have a quick demo for this to show you. So this is how the console of Son.
Anyone has question? Anyone
I
on
think
Teams
there
got a
is.
question?
Anyone on Teams?
Maybe they have
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll take up the questions. You can put your questions in the chat or later we can unmute. So this is what the threat hunting is. So you'll see visibilities here. So these queries, right? So for example, these queries, these are provided by Sentinel and they'll be updated. Every day you'll see, and there is even a browser extension to that. So to test this or to show you how this works, let's consider a small script, okay, which is run on this. It's a PowerShell script. Now, as part of this attack, you want to see whether this the indicators of compromise were there in your machines or not. Okay, so we'll go to the console and then look at a specific query, and this query is related to the suspicious PowerShell attack. So it will then scan all the details which it received from hundreds of machines and see, okay, this machine was the one which has that. Okay, where the threat. So this is like proactively, this is simple example to show, but there is a lot of things because process, DNS, network level, IP level, all the details has been fed to this threat hunting engine. So you'll see here. Like example, if somebody tried to delete your volume shadow copy service, okay, did that happen on any of the machine? You can simply right click and do a threat hunting search. Okay. And there are changes you can do if you want to. So this is where this requires probably a dedicated team to do this. So there is a separate license called as Premier license. I'll show you the license, but this is how it is done. Okay. Also, what we have introduced is something called as a network control. Okay. So when you are in the network where there is a firewall is protecting you from, there is firewall rules, right? But this network control is a step ahead where you put, this is like a firewall on an endpoint. So you can block particular protocols or so in this as well. So if you see here, you will see there is a network control for endpoint. So instead of using a Windows firewall, you can use this particular feature. Embedded.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll take a break. Okay, sorry, it's not playing. So basically what it does is, you will see here, these are the endpoint firewall. So like how you write a rule on the firewall to block particular application, direction, host, location also. So you can do this on to this. And also now as part of troubleshooting, there is something called as a remote shell, where you can remotely log into the machine and let's say you want to see some, commands you want to run. Also, that is available as well. It is called remote shell thing. Yeah. Now here, this is the advantage. So I was telling you, we sell this completely as an endpoint EDR threat hunting solution. But if you have a SonicWall firewall plus this, what are the advantages? So you'll see it here. One is if you have branches, let's say, okay, the firewall has a configuration called as enforcement of client, endpoint enforcement. If you enable that for a particular VLAN or a network, unless and until the user has capture client installed, it will not be allowed to access internet. So they need to have. So that's a enforcement. If they don't have, it will pop up a page saying that you need to install. Okay, this is called enforcement. Second is DPI SSL enforcement. So those of you have been using our firewalls or any other vendor firewalls as well. Today, if you see, a lot of threats come on HTTPS or SSL. Okay, and there are features on firewalls, IPS and all to do SSL decryption. So when you do SSL decryption on a network level, all your client needs to have the certificate. If it's a firewall, you need to have the certificate of the firewall. That is for all the vendors. Now, most of the people, they don't do this because this is the challenge of enforcing the certificate, because Firefox might have different certificate store versus other, browsers or so. So now what you need to do is you simply take the certificate of the firewall, okay, upload it to the capture client console. Automatically, this certificate will be enforced because we push it to all the clients. Yeah, that's another advantage. Both share information, that elementary information also. Let's say if there is an attack which is found on the endpoint, it inform the firewall or vice versa. There will be features which will be coming in where you'll be automatically able to take actions as well. So these are some of the advantage. Plus, last but not the least, you get the same management plane. So you manage firewall, you manage the endpoint. So that's part of the software defined branch. Okay. I'll show you this, but I was telling you initially that if you have more than one product of SonicWall or more than one solution, we have come up with something called as unified insight. So it gives you location. For example, you see a capture client, firewall. It's all reporting together. Okay. What are the top applications seen on the firewall? What are the machines affected with some attacks or so? If you have switches, so it will give you a consolidated view. There is no separate license or so required. It's just one. I'll show you at the end when we do this.
Yeah, but let's give the guys a break.
Yeah, this is last.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how do the licensing works? It's simple. There is advanced premium. All that threat hunting features that I showed you about, that I talked about, or endpoint firewall, that comes under premium. Otherwise, there is advanced. Do we still have the displacement? Still June, I think, right?
Yeah. I need to check it.
The license.
I need to check it, yeah.
Okay.
So what he's asking about is like every now and then we do run promos. Okay, so the promos can be, for example, like we had for the capture client is like kind of if you're replacing a specific technology, then you get around like calculation wise, like for example, you're going to get 18 months for the price of 1 year. Okay, so 6 month additional license for free. Or if you go for the 2 years, you get the 3 years. So the third is for free. So it's like kind of replacing a different technology. We have that. But I'm not sure if that promo is still running until now. I need to double check. I really forgot whether it's still active or not. I think if it's active, it's going to be only for this month. And then after June, it's going to be expiring. But that doesn't matter anyways. I mean, whenever we have a case where we're working with you on a need, we will always look into what's the best in terms of, financials, etc. So that's not a problem.
And if you want to tell, so you can go to my SonicWall portal, which is the licensing portal of SonicWall, and there is a 30-day trial. I think it is for 10 machines.
What for people who don't have my SonicWall? They're not SonicWall users at all. They're new.
You'll have to create a my SonicWall account and then go to free trial. And
so the website is not sonicwall.com. It's my SonicWall. Okay, so you just go to that and create an account. You don't have to register any device. Just create an account and you can download the trial version of the capture client, try it out. Okay, so far whoever tried capture client, bought capture client. So it's really good. Okay? And it's convincing by itself. So give it a try, check it out.
Yeah. I don't see any questions on the chat. Any questions? Any questions from the audience here?
You will get multiple free licenses for you.
10 licenses you get for 30 days.
30 days.
And you can test there is both advanced, and if you want to test the threat hunting, then there is premier license trial as well.
I mean, it's good for a small setup to test to see how it's working. That's good enough. Yeah, 10 is okay. For you have a month.
Any questions for online, you can put it on chat. Yeah, so this is for Windows machines, Windows servers, Linux, as well as Mac.
And Mac. It's not related to whether it's a client or a server.
Same license,
It's
application.
per seat, basically. Okay, so it doesn't matter.
Sorry?
This can be applied in on premises somewhere like it is not exposed to the internet, so that can be.
Okay, so as I showed you one slide which is showing as cloud managed. So now, if your question is, can I do a management on-prem? The answer is no, because this is cloud managed. But we have customers who have no internet access. Specifically, there are some ports and protocols that you need to open onto the firewall for them to connect. So though the endpoint might not have any internet connectivity, the only connectivity will be to our cloud. Yeah, so that you can fetch information, push policies, rest everything will be blocked. So we have customers like that. Yeah. Any other questions? We take like a 15-minute break.
10 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah, that's more than enough. We can just grab some coffee or snack or whatever. And we'll get back. But we'll get back with a new topic, right?
Yes.
Okay, that is the switching or what?
Switching, WLAN, the switching. And so we'll come back and I'll take you all through wireless network manager for software defined branch, which is a wireless and switches.
Yeah, we'll see.
So those of you are online, we'll take a 15 minutes break and come back. Yeah. Yeah, hi, those of you who are online, we'll start shortly. So I'll take up some questions that have come up here. So the first question was from Mohammed Saif. How do you check the status of tunnels phase 1 and 2? So this is done either it's a couple of options. One is if you have login to the local UI of the firewall. Uh, Local UI of the firewall under VPN, you will be able to see this. And the logs will give you more information as to how the negotiation of phase 1 and phase 2 happened if you're using the older method of VPN. If it's IKE version 2, you will get the. So if you're not seeing any logs, probably because there is no VPN. So if you're troubleshooting, then you can enable VPN debug on the logs so that you get more information. Second question was which setting is enabled? I think it was from Mohammed Saif again. Which setting is enabled to prioritize VPN traffic over static routes? Okay, so now when we talk about site-to-site VPN, there are two types of site-to-site VPN that could be configured. One is called policy-based and the other one is called route-based. Okay, so in policy based, you don't need to add any routes because automatically when you do policy based at the back end, depending on the interesting traffic that you have defined, the local network and remote network, firewall will automatically send the traffic for those destination networks which are defined. That is in policy mode. Where in route mode, you as an administrator get the advantage of defining the routes. So you can define VPN routes in route-based VPN. So there are two ways of doing this VPN. The other question was from Bhavik. Is there an option for SSL VPN using NAT traverser? Some places ISP do not provide live IP and DMZ forwarding. Okay, so the advantage of using SSL VPN is because SSL VPN, though on the SonicWall, the default port will be different. It's 4433. But then if you change the default port of SSL VPN to, let's say, 443 and change the management port of the firewall to something like example 8080 or other, you don't need a NAT traversal because the traffic negotiation is happening on SSL. The reason why SSL is preferred over the IPsec side-to-side VPN is that ISPs also will not block port 443 if you are running a custom port of 443 on SSL VPN. But by default, SonicWall's port for SSL VPN by default is 4433, which can be changed. So if you are still using the default port 4433, then you need to do, if some networking device or a firewall inference or some other device is blocking 4433, you need to open that or change the SSL VPN port on the firewall to 443 and change the management port of the firewall to something else because both cannot run on 443 at the same time on the WAN IP address. Hope that is clear. If you have any questions, please unmute yourself and I can take up the questions. Shortly, we have people joining in, so we will start the session. The next session will be on our WNM, which is Wireless Network Manager. Okay. Yeah, so let's start. Thanks again. So now I'll go through a topic called as the Wireless Network Manager. Okay, so this was constitute of components like wireless and switches. Okay, so what is this Wireless Network Manager? Now, SonicWall has been doing wireless for quite some time. Long back, our access points were managed from the firewall. So it was firewall managed wireless. Okay, because uh, the firewall used to act as a controller, and there were access points which could be managed on the firewall. There was option of doing a management of this. About 4 to 5 years back, we bought in cloud managed services for wireless. So that So like, for example, if you're managing the firewalls, then there is an app on the cloud application, the CSC, which is single pane. It's called Network Security Manager, NSM, that is to manage firewalls. WNM is one place where you can manage our access points and the switches from single console. Okay. So we'll see multiple components, how the configuration is done, all this. Now, so WNM is the manager. So under that, there are two components. One is wireless. We call ourselves as a secure wireless solution because the major differentiator for us is, apart from all those enterprise features of maybe roaming, Wi-Fi 6, all this, custom page, splash page customization, integration with SMS to get internet access or social media login. There is security built into this, okay, which means each of the access point can do gateway anti-malware, for example, okay, botnet control, URL filtering, application control, and most importantly, it can also do multi-engine sandboxing. Okay, this is the differentiator of SonicWall over other vendors, like be it Aruba or Ubiquiti or any other. That's our differentiator. Because we have been in the security industry, our focus is security. That's why you will see, us doing this as versus other vendors. That's why Nabil was telling you, right? So if you're looking for pure solution, without security, then SonicWall would not be the solution for you. Yeah. So in terms of the access points, we have both indoor and outdoor. Okay, so outdoor is 400 series. The 600 series, there are three models: 2x2 MIMO, 4x4, 8x high density of wireless is required. Then you have that 4x4 and 8x8. Otherwise, it is so. These 600 series are all Wi-Fi 6, the latest technology on the Wi-Fi solution. And then we have switches. So there are about 7 models I'll show you. In what are the use cases that you can use our switches? One is these are software-defined branch ready, which means, let's say you have a branch, one or multiple. We don't want to, let's say in your data center, if there is a core switch. So we are not a vendor who will provide you with the core switching. Okay. So this is mainly for networks where there is software-defined branch. So you have let's say one branch requires a firewall to do VPN, edge security, all that. And then you require switches. Okay. Now, these switches, they are both can be managed from the firewall or from the wireless network manager. So in the demo, we will see how it can be managed from the cloud along with the wireless. So which are the models? So you'll see there are 7 models starting from 8 port. So you'll see 8 gigabit Ethernet ports. Then you have 2 SFP plus SFP ports on the one model. You have 10 gig and then 24 and 48. Some of them will be non-PoE, but if you need to power on your maybe camera or POS machines or let's say VoIP devices or so, then you can use the full PoE options as well. So there are 7 models. Some of them would also have 10 gig interfaces available. Yeah, so this would be an ideal use case where you have like a switch, to make VLANs. Okay, you need access point to do wireless. Even in wireless, you might have corporate, for different department, it can be different SSID. You want to allow guests. Okay, even for guests, it can be social media login. Okay, or any other authentication method that you can look out for guests. Recently, we also launched the feature of TOTP, which means you create users locally on the cloud. I can use my Microsoft Authenticator or Google Authenticator or any other authenticator to log into the wireless. So I have a login, but the password would be the TOTP. Okay. And there are other like SMS integration. We integrate with a third party called as Twilio. So you get the SMS on your phone or so, depending on the configuration that is done. So most likely these are for software defined branch, or it can be, and even here, it's not a must that you need to have our firewalls. Even if there are locations where you're not using a firewall for some reason, doesn't stop you from doing wireless or switching. Yeah. This use case is about using our access point as a SSL VPN client. Okay, what is the use case for this? Let's say you have some executives who are working from home. Okay, you can ship them an access point. All these access points, which is firewalls, are zero touch enabled, which means they're all plug and play. So you simply ship them out. There is a demo to show you how to register and all. But as soon as you enable the zero touch, as soon as internet is available on those access points, which is a firewall, they automatically connect to the manager and they will be automatically onboarded. So that's the zero touch. With this, what happens is if you send an access point to an executive, okay, and they have like a work from home setup, they can connect an access point. These access point can automatically dial into the firewall which is sitting in the head office. Okay, it will make a SSL VPN tunnel. All the corporate wireless will be available in the home. Okay, so that's another use case. These access point currently can connect to our firewalls as an SSL VPN client, provided you have SSL VPN license onto the firewall. Each access point will be one client. Okay, if you have multiple users, let's say you have 10 executives whom you want to give the access, then it will be 10 licenses required on the firewall. Or it can connect to our dedicated SSL VPN solution as well, yeah, which is SMA. Now, switches can either be firewall managed or it could be cloud managed, depending on the use case. So if you have dark network, air gap networks, you do not want things to be managed from the cloud, then you can go with firewall managed. So each firewall at the max can take up to or manage up to 8 switches. Okay. Anyway, it can be daisy chain, separate. So up to 8 is supported. Yeah. And when you have NSM license, that is the manager of the firewall, from NSM, you'll be able to manage the switches as well. So that's for firewall managed. Then there is cloud managed switches. Even if somebody does not have a firewall, you can still do management from the cloud. Yeah. So like software defined branch. What is the advantage is, I think in the demo it is there. So like you can create templates. So if you have like a retail store and you want to push a template to all the switches, hundreds of switches, you can create template based configuration and automatically it will be pushed through all. Let's say if a new site is coming up, you provision a switch there. The switch, you do not need to configure the switch because it will take the default template or the custom template you have defined. Okay. So in this, what I will do is I will show you some of the use cases, starting from registering. How do you register a switch? How do you register, an access point? What are the different methods? You can either do it from the online portal, or we have Sonic Express app that can do this. So there are multiple ways in which you will be able to provision and manage, and some of the use case in terms of configuration also I will show this in the demo. Okay. Keep your questions, at end of this, 15-20 minutes later, I'll take up the questions, whatever you have. Okay. And this thing is not new to us. We have been doing this for quite some time. The only difference was long time it was only managed from the firewall. Now these can be managed from cloud as well. So this is the My SonicWall portal for those of you who are not aware. So there is an option called as workspace. So if you want to register any solution of SonicWall, this is the first place where you can go. Either you can go here, or I'll show you another use case where you can use Sonic Express mobile app to register. So you put the serial number, automatically it will tell you, the device. Now currently, if you see it is saying managed by firewall, but you can change it. I'll show you in this demo how you can change it to cloud management. So in terms of license, if it's wireless, the cloud managed, you need to have a separate license for WNM, the down, there is a SKU. If you're managing it through the firewall, there is a separate, only support is what you require. You don't need NSM because you're managing it through the firewall directly. Okay. So depending on which use case for which brand, we will give you these SKUs. Okay. So you will see here WNM, you can activate this. This is, I'm showing you the manual way of doing it. If you have hundreds of access points, there is a separate, you can do a bulk registration as well. So you say, okay, I will not manage it behind the firewall, I will manage it from the cloud. This is where you change. And this can be done. So this is an example to show you a switch. This can be any model of the switch. If you go to cloud.sonicwall.com, this is where you will be able to, you will see a tile called as the wireless network manager, from where you do the management, completely cloud managed. So you'll see option of switch. Just now we onboarded or registered, right? So whenever you register, that will come under unmanaged. So because we need to put it in a zone also, we'll see the configurations as well here. So you'll see this is a 24 port switch, unmanaged. This is the mobile act. We call it as Sonic Express. It's a mobile app. It helps you to do a registration. It helps you to do an onboarding of not only switches and access point, but also firewall. So firewall, switches, access point. Anybody who is using SonicWall, they can still use this. This can also connect to our firewalls and through a USB cable, and we will be able to do initial configuration as well using this. Anybody has used this? Has seen this before? Okay, so this is a demo just to show you. Now in this, I will show you a second method of how to register. So I showed you the switch. Now I will show you how to register an access point from here. So because we need the cloud management to be secure, so there is email or TOTP that you can use, or authentication that you can use. These are the tenants. So you say, okay, this is my tenant. The switch is already seen here. So now if I take an access point, on outside the box itself, there will be a QR code, or you will see the QR code on the appliance. So you can just scan the QR code. Automatically, it will capture the serial number, auth code. You can change the name and country is important for access points, because based on a particular country, the channels, the radios will be tuned automatically. You cannot run your AP in US because US might use a different, channel bandwidth. All this will be different. So here you will see, you will be able to do management of our access points and switches here. Location, what are the switches, what are the PoE, what is the traffic, security alerts. If there are any alerts also, you will be able to see them. You can go, historic details as well, and you will be able to get that. So right now, you will see the switch is visible here. In some time, you will also see the access point which will be registered will also be available here. So this is now both. Okay, one switch, one access point. And then we'll see how you can create profiles, how easy it is if you have multiple branches, how you can use templates to do the configuration. One time you do, and it will be available for you. One zone you create and you put an access point, you can start using it. So there is a default policy for the switches. Now, there is something interesting here, which is called inheritance. So you can create one policy which can be inherited to multiple locations. As an example, so this is a 24 port switch. Let's say I want to do a generic template. Every location will have specific, port configured for access point, VLANs also. You can do as an example here, port 1, there is APA1 connected. So if you want to keep a standard configuration, this is how you do it. Uplink might be to the firewall, for example. In this template, all the VLAN configuration, PoE, right now, so let's say I want to enable PoE on some of the ports, I do it here. Okay. And the same configuration will be available to all the switches. So if you're using a standard, if you're not using a standard, each branch is different. Okay, don't inherit the policy. Okay, so if you see here, now let me create a new switch policy. Okay, so this is the second way of. So once you register, so you'll see an option of inheritance here. So which is enabled. So if I enable this, all the profiles which were pushed here, so you see automatically it came here. I did not configure anything, right? Because it is inheriting from the default policy which was created earlier. Okay. Now let's say for this particular policy, VLANs I don't want to inherit it. I can create VLANs here. So whatever you want to inherit, that can be a general configuration. Wherever you don't want to inherit, you can switch off the inheritance and you will be able to configure what is unique to that particular zone or a policy. So let's say VLAN, for example. So we can create now on the switch, I might need a couple of VLANs to be configured, right? Probably data VLAN would be separate. I can add those here. Same thing. So whatever you do from, so if somebody is interested in doing command line, even command line is available as well, but it's much easier on the cloud portal. So you specify which VLAN, what is the VLAN ID. I can add a couple of other VLAN, one for Wi-Fi or so. Say corporate for guest, it can be different. So you can say which are tagged port, which are untagged port. And if you want to keep, again, this configuration standard, then you do it in the base policy and do inheritance automatically. So I'm showing you both, one where you inherit, one configuration of VLAN where you don't inherit. So you see switch policy. Similarly, how you create switch policy, there is access point policy as well. So let's say you create a SSID group. You might have 2 or 3 SSIDs you want to publish. One can be for corporate, one can be guest, depending on how your use cases are for that particular branch or so. So let's say you add an SSID for corp. You can schedule, you can isolate. Layer 2 isolation is one client will not be able to talk to the other client. So WPA 2, 3, depending on. And there is full guest page customization as well. If you're running multiple VLAN ID, whatever you configure on the switch, the same we can add it here. Like 200 is the corporate VLAN. Other one is, let's say, a guest VLAN. So this is how they both work together. So once you create this, let's say we create one more SSID. We'll name this as guest. And I can say, okay, guest, I'll keep it open, but I will do a splash page customization. Okay. So here you'll see click through social media login can be there also. There's a lot of customization you can do in way how you do the splash page. Splash page is as soon as the guests log in, what you want them to see. Whether after they authenticate, whether you want to redirect to your website also, all that can be provided here. Now here, same what we created like a switch policy, we have to create the access point policy. All these are one-time configuration. As soon as you start onboarding, so you say, okay, this access point while registering falls into this group, automatically it will take this particular policies and come up irrespective of which location you are. Or if you are a distributed enterprise, separate zones you can make and put those access point in those.
The rest you can create one for each location.
Each location if you want, or you can keep it standard for all locations.
And easy also for the expansion.
Yeah.
Like whenever you want to add something, it just
Yeah.
goes directly under the policy.
So now you see, you now bind it. You put the switch policy, access point policy. You say, okay, these are my switches.
Yeah, so this is for
This is
for this zone.
Zone, yeah. That's called as a zone. So under a zone, you will put the switch and an access point. So you'll see as soon as they connect to internet, it will be online, and you will be able to manage this.
This can be used in a small office.
Yeah, small,
yeah.
large, we have enterprise
Yeah.
customers using this across hundreds of locations as well.
There is one account.
Yeah, can you hold on to the questions? I'll take the questions when this demo is over, please. Yeah, so here you will see the switch. Now here it says that there is a new firmware which is available. All the details of ports which are tagged, which are untagged.
I will come to
I can do a troubleshooting, I can reboot the switch, and all the management can be from here. UAE status, what is the traffic on each of the ports? And there is also something called as tagging as well. So if you say, okay, I want the reception to only show up guest SSID, all that options are also available. And all this, what I'm showing you here is also available for you on a live demo as well. If you go to live demo, I'll show you at the end, livedemo.sonicwall.com. If you want to get a look and feel of how this, you get that as well. No, there is, yeah, we'll, so both this work in tandem now. Okay, so that's the advantage. Now, same thing what you're seeing. So this is a wireless network manager. Once this demo is done, I will also show you the firewall manager. So same WNM, network security manager, and then you have other components like the endpoint, cloud security, all that in this. So this is a second use case for work from home group. Okay, so I was telling you there is an access point which you can ship it to one of the executive and they can inherit. So this is where the configuration is done. So now here what I'm saying is enable this AP as an SSL VPN client. So it automatically now connects to the firewall and then it will connect to the firewall and all the corporate policies, corporate wireless will be visible. So you create SSID group. And here on the SSL VPN configuration, so you'll see you can enable NX stands for the firewall, CT is for the SSL VPN solution. Okay, so it can connect, the APs can connect to both. NS means net extender. So it becomes like a net extender client. Those of you know
Yes,
the SonicWall SSL VPN,
Yeah, I already sent it.
you will know this part. So exactly. So now what is happening is this AP will utilize one license, one AP, one license. So the prerequisite, you need to have the license onto the firewalls, and you can create credentials on your firewall for each of the AP. Yeah. So this is the credential it will use to log in as a user and extend your wireless. So similar kind of configuration what we did. So this I can create a separate zone now. That was for your corporate wireless. I can similarly create for work from home users. This is the second AP. So you can say which group or which zone you want it to be. And this one policy, if you have like multiple executives also users whom you want, so you'll see now it is connected. So that green indicates that it is connecting to the firewall and all the routes of this. So whenever a user is connecting from home, it will be as if he's working from office. Okay, so all the SSID, all this information. If he tries to access something, you can also tunnel all the traffic through the firewall, which is sitting at the head office as well from here. In topology, what we have done, firewall. So here there is no firewall, right? Because I'm just showing you the switch and an access point. So if you have a firewall, you'll get even firewall details as well. How it is connected, which zone it is, how many clients are connected. All those details will be available as part of topology. So it will include more details. The more solutions you have, the more. So let's say if there is a firewall, it will show you firewall. To the firewall, there are 4 to 5 switches connected. To those, there are access points connected. To those, there are wireless clients connect. So it will do all this topology. This topology is there on WNM. Also on the firewall local UI, this is available. And you'll be able to see under devices, you'll see access point, switches, and which are the clients connected. So the clients, if they're connected to a particular access point, what is the utilization there? All that information will be available here. This is an option to add tags. As an example, let's say particular SSID on an access point which is at the reception. I don't want to publish corporate SSID. It should be only guest because there is only guest which come in as an example. So then there can be tags created for these kind of setup. So we create tab and say, then you can say which one. So that's how it makes it very flexible in terms of using those tagging for access points. So this tagging is basically for access points only. Okay, you can then segregate which access point will receive. Though it might be in the same zone, but you don't want to publish particular SSIDs. Let's say in the guest reception and conference room, you want some SSIDs to be published. Rest everywhere, some other SSIDs. So it makes your life easier, though you do this is all one-time configuration. After that, you start inheriting. Yeah, this is the differentiator that I was talking about. So you'll see security policy. Now you will see this is access point ACL policy, where you can apply particular, say MAC addresses can be only connecting to this. But the other one is the differentiator of capture ATP, cloud, antivirus, botnet control. Similarly, here on the switch policy, you can have ACL policy to allow or block particular MAC addresses also. I can add here a group, this is like layer 2 ACL using MAC addresses. So every component will have security integrated. That's the major thing you need to know about the solution versus any other vendor. So I know that some of the vendors do this application control, content filtering. Botnet, GeoIP, and sandboxing is unique to SonicWall. This is the firmware. So if you want to upgrade the firmware, you come here. At one click, all the firmwares can be updated, or you can schedule on say on particular time or date. You can schedule. It makes your life easier. So you say, okay, I want to roll back to the previous one, or if you're a beta tester, we also provide beta access to the customers as well. So you can test out new features. All the new features which are under beta, the beta tag will be put behind in front of each feature. So you can use beta features as well. So we have many customers who have been beta testers. Beta is just before they are released as a general. So you'll see here, example, there is that blue dot indicate that there is a new firmware which is available. This can be for both. So you can come here and say, upgrade all my 24 port switches to the new firmware. Or you can go to the individual switch and select out of 10 switches. Okay, I want to select 5 and upgrade. You can do that. So this is individually how you can do. So now I'm coming to particular access point and saying update this. Okay. The other place you can say all my switches can be upgraded. In terms of connecting to an access point, doing a troubleshooting, all this is available. So even the SSH terminal will be available from here. Okay. There'll be an option. If you go to the device, you can enable the SSH and directly log in if you want to do some troubleshooting, do the configuration using SSH, all that is available directly from here. Yeah.
Yeah, check if there's any.
I will check. Let me. Okay. Any questions? Those of you are online, any questions from your side? I see. Okay, Bhavik is asking 443 will not be reachable without forwarding. Exactly, yeah. So that's what I was telling you, the default port. So the question, just to repeat the question, sorry? Yeah, the 443 is referring to the SSL port that's the default port on which firewall uses SSL VPN. Okay. If so, definitely. So if there is a networking device or a security device sitting in front of our firewall, or let's say if the ISP is blocking 4433, then your users will not be able to connect because that port is blocked. Because when users connect, they will give the domain colon and 4433. This can be changed because you need to do forwarding and all that. So Bhavik, so what you will have to do is if 4433 cannot be forwarded or allowed, then you can change the port of the SSL port on the firewall to 443 because most of the ISPs or so they will not
Yeah.
block. So that is how you can take care of this.
Just like using the port 80, for example.
Port 80, yes. Nobody will block port 80.
It's not gonna block.
Example now, let's say specifically we have seen in Egypt, by default, IPsec ports will be blocked. So a company who is
Yeah.
configuring, they need to dedicatedly call and open a case and, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're using net extender or SSL VPN solution, you don't require.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, here, I mean, when we were first saying that we are going to talk about the active points, okay, let's have one meeting. If we are, when we said we're gonna talk about access point, what was your expectations? Like, you thought like, okay, access point, right? And what's new about access point? It's gonna be wireless being given right in the area, and that's it. But you saw it's not it is a straightforward thing, but it requires also some knowledge to implement. You know, because you still need to create some policies, you still need to create some rules. As Atif was talking, like the inheritance method, or no, it's going to be a kind of a standalone acting access point, not standalone from the network, but I mean from the other, you know, fellows access points in the area or in the office. Whether the SSIDs are the same or different. SSID is basic, every access point has. But the features which we implemented regarding to security on this device makes it a bit unique, right? So that's the reason we have this today as a topic. Like we can talk about firewalls, that's not the problem. We can talk, but the people they still think that you know a switch is just a switch. Okay, it's like even if it's a layer 2 switch, it can be just like a hub. You know, an access point is like similar to what you have at home. And even if you're technical, by the way, and you are educated and knowledgeable within the IT, if you don't see the technology we are, you know, putting on in the market, you will not really realize what's being added to this technology. Okay, it's not about because you don't know, or it is that it's something that we have introduced by SonicWall. It's not something as a standard in the market. So not all the access points they have this feature. You know, not all the companies are. I'm not saying they're bad, but what I'm saying is that this is the value we're adding. And we think that because we're a security company, the value of this, what you just saw now, is the value we think it's good for our customers. Okay. Some other companies may say no. I care about, for example, how strong the signal is or whatever. I don't care about the security. So that's how it goes. Okay. So if you see a value in what we discussed today, then this might be something for you. Okay. So what Atif said is that you're not gonna, I mean, it's not capture client. It's not a software that you can download for trial. But you can still see how it works and how it behaves, not in terms of signal physically, but in terms of management from the live demo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so there is a website that's accessible. You don't need even to register for it. Okay, you don't need to. You're not gonna get spam emails, stuff like that. You don't have to register. You can just log in as a guest. The purpose of this website is for you to experience our technology. If you're not familiar with it, you can go and give it a try. Okay. From there, you can actually see not only the access points, the switches, but everything from SonicWall. Okay, whether it's SMA, whatever it is, right? Firewalls, etc. All those technologies can be visible from the live demo. Okay, so check it out. Note that down that website, please. The live demo.
livedemo.sonicwall.com. So you'll see here quickly, if you go to live demo, let's say example, if you're using our older generation of firewall, okay? Now the operating system on the new Gen 7 is SonicOS 7. So you want to have a look and feel. You simply go here on the firewall. You say, okay, say NSA, and you want to see NSA 2700 and demo. So the username is there. So no registration required as such. You will automatically log into the local UI of the firewall. So I say, okay, demo password. It is currently managed from NSM, so which is the centralized manager. That is why I'm getting the alert saying. So it will be read-only access. The only thing is, you will not be able to do any changes here, okay, because it's a read-only access. Yeah. So now you can get a look and feel of how the NSA 2700 is. You know, the front panel.
People are still using. I'm sure you guys are using, right? And you're using the older generation. So this is not the same interface. It's a completely different interface.
Yeah.
So before you take this, leap of faith and go for Gen 7, maybe you want to see how it is. Okay, maybe it's not for you. I don't know. However, there is a catch that even, I mean, unfortunately, even if you don't like it, eventually you have to be there because you have to adapt the new technology because your device is also getting obsolete. And the thing is, the hackers and the threats which are online are not gonna go wait for us. Okay, they're not give us chances to go and think of a solution, etc. They try to be one step ahead, right? So that's what we do. That's what every security company does, is that they try to introduce new features, new things, new way of defense, right? But that requires resources, right? And your devices that you have, the old ones, may not be, sufficient to handle these new technologies. So the hardware must be upgraded. Okay, so now you understand why your device will die soon. If it's an old device, it will die. Why? Because that hardware cannot support the newer versions of software that we are releasing. Okay, you need to upgrade the hardware, you need to upgrade the software so that it can co-op with the new threats that are there. And to have these new services, okay, you need the right hardware for it. Okay. I mean, different strategies for each company. Some companies, they just want to sell more, sell new devices. We usually try to keep as long as possible the same hardware without changing it unless we have to, even for the performance or for the compatibility with the features and software that we are releasing. Okay.
Like in this console, this is the UI, okay, of the firewall. So from here, you'll be able to see, different networks, for example, switches that are being managed from the firewall, just to show you. So all the clients which have capture client installed. So you see this mark, that means the endpoint of SonicWall, that is capture client, is installed on them. So you know which machines have capture client installed. If the firewall is managing the access points, you will also see access points, here. So the Gen 7, there will be a firmware version which will also start managing, that will come next quarter, the Wi-Fi 6. So currently, this is 400 series. So you'll see access point. If there are clients connected, you will further get details of which clients are connected, all those details. And this is UI of the firewall. But if you go to, let me go back here and say product, and you say NSM, it will take me here. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, this is the capture security center. So now all the solution of SonicWall can be managed. You see here left, this is called as a tenant. So if you have multiple business groups or business unit, retail can be one managed by separate, If you have another warehouse data center, that can be separate. So you can do multi-tenancy here. Now let's say example, if I go to NSM, what we have done is the same screen which is available on this firewall is now bought into NSM. That means if you are an administrator who has managed a firewall with a local UI, will not have any difficulty in managing it from the manager because the screens are exactly same. So let's see. The only difference is the manager view. When you look at the manager view, you will get a visibility of your entire organization. What are show me all the devices, like the 13 firewalls, some are offline, expired licenses, how they are geographically, positioned, traffic distribution. This is for the overall organization. If you have 50 locations, it will show you for 50. Then you'll be able to do reporting for all those sites that you have. Okay. Now, if I go back under home, so you'll see firewall under firewall. Now show me all the firewalls. So if you have 25, 50 locations, you can search. Let's say show me, or if the name is some particular location, you can do this search as well. Okay, or by model. Yeah. So you will get individual details. So you'll see reporting, what are the licenses, from where I can upgrade the firewall, update location, sync. All these things can be done individually or as a group. Okay. How will the group be useful? Let's say you have, locations across UAE or across GCC. So you can say, okay, these are my Dubai firewalls, put it in the Dubai group. Okay. Saudi firewall in Saudi group. How that will be useful tomorrow if there is a new change that you need to do. Allow particular URLs to only Dubai firewall. Okay. So now you don't need to do it individually. You create one template. You will see a template configuration and say, okay, this is, so I do URL filtering for Dubai. And you can push it only to Dubai group. Okay, or you can push it to Saudi group as an example. Or as another use case would be, I will create a best practice security policy for my entire company. Because that's where people miss out, right? So if you are managing it individually, there are chances that you will miss out on configuration. Probably you have license for IPS or intrusion prevention, but it is not enabled. Yeah, gateway antivirus is dead, but somebody disabled it for testing purpose. Okay, so having a unified policy is very important these days because one majority, even if you look at some analysts and all, 90% and plus times the breaches happen because of misconfiguration. You might have the best firewall in the world, but it is not configured properly. That's where NSM helps you out. So you create one security policy for your entire organization and push it. So you're making sure that all your location have a unified security policy. Okay. Now, if you want to create some VPN, okay, you can create a template, push it to only those particular firewalls.
Let me ask you something, guys. So basically, how many firewalls do you have? Like, let's say we go to how many firewalls we have? 70. 70. Okay. Around 4 or 5 firewalls, right? There. You have around 2025. Yeah, in that range, I think. How many? I know it's not SonicWall, but how many do you have? Yeah. One firewall. Yeah. Okay. It's one site, one location. Okay. 5. 4 firewalls. 6 firewalls. Okay. 2. So for whoever is working in the range of 1 to 10, you're still okay, right? You still somehow can manage. Yeah, it might be some problems, some challenges. But when you go to 70, right? You go to 100, go to some customers we have what 1,800 or yeah, around 1,800 firewalls. Imagine, okay, the pressure on the IT to manage and to make sure that this is all under control. Okay, it's a disaster to have a firewall not being controlled properly. Okay, for many reasons. The easiest reason that is not even risky. It's not risky. Yeah, there's no threat on your company. The easiest one is that your users are unable to access the internet because of some problem with the configuration. Okay. Now dig out which firewall that is and which site it is. Go have access to it. Go see what's wrong, etc. It's a nightmare. Okay.
That's what we are doing.
It's this, you're going through that, okay. So this thing, okay, the centralized management to all the technology, especially if you start, getting the SonicWall ecosystem, getting into that system, having, let's say, the endpoint, etc., or just firewalls, but too many firewalls. This thing will make your life much easier, okay? Having organized, I mean, I'm an organized person, okay? If I want to even have, my personal photos and documents, I have a folder for each thing, structured properly, hierarchy, okay, I know where to go. And you ask me now, I'll tell you exactly which folder it is, because this is the way I think can be manageable and without mistakes. And I'm not gonna have any data loss or nothing, or duplicates as well. So that's also a problem. Okay. Similar, if I imagine this is your business now, this is your company, okay, and you're responsible for the connectivity and the security of your company, because these are assets protected, right? And you start growing that security aspect, okay, more firewalls, more users, etc., etc. You need a very solid method of management. Yeah, this is where this comes into the play. The beauty of this is not that it's managing only firewalls, it's showing you everything in one spot. And also, you have how many, 70 sites, or
Then some,
Right.
then some we have
10 of the Gen 7? Okay, so those can be,
that can be.
yes, that can
The
be.
portal is one.
This is an
This
No,
is
no,
to
the one that was showing you-
cloud.sonicwall.com.
Yeah, this is the demo, but on the demo, he was showing you the NSM.
If you
Yeah.
do cloud.sonicwall.com, you need to have the NSM license.
Yeah.
And through this portal, you'll be able to log in.
You need to purchase a license for NSM, basically, because that's okay. So I'll explain to you what happens. So on the Gen 7, there's two types of licenses. Okay, there's the essentials and there's the advanced. Essentials means I want the Gen 7, okay, but I just want to manage it locally, and I'm not interested in any kind of reporting or nothing like that. But I want to feature the feature and the interface of Gen 7. Okay, so that's one. Two, there is the advanced. And by the way, there's not much of difference, like 10% or so between both the prices of both on SRP. Gen 7 advanced will give you the cloud access. It will give you 7 days of reporting. So now if you say, oh, it means I did a mistake. I purchased the essentials, but I really do need the cloud. Okay, then comes the NSM. Because then in this case, let's take an example for you to understand exactly how it works. You have one customer, one firewall for you as a customer, as a user. You have one firewall, and you're okay to manage it, and you don't need the remote access, and you don't need the reporting. I'm not gonna come and tell you buy the advanced. You don't need the advanced. Even if you save 10%, you're still saving it. Well, why would you invest in something that you don't need? If you need 10, and you need to manage all those 10, logically speaking, you're gonna tell me, give me the advanced because I want the remote management, correct? I'll tell you no, you can still have a different option, alternative option. That is, go for the essential and add NSM to it. The NSM will give you this feature of managing it from the cloud and have 7 up to 365 days of reporting, or 1 year for full reporting. Okay, so you have this option. Okay. If it's just one device and you still want to manage it, don't go for the NSM for sure. Just go for the advanced version because it's much cheaper than having Essentials plus NSM. Got it? Clear? So it's a combination of 3 different items: Essential, Advanced, NSM. Okay, if you have low quantity, you want the management, go for the advanced. If you have high quantity, you want the management, go for Essentials plus NSM. Okay, as simple as that.
Because
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, no, sorry. This is a business requirement. Like, give a background.
Yes.
We have been in discussion like for T-set for some
Yes,
one new edition plus one secure.
yes,
So right now they're thinking of something sort of a package where they can involve endpoint protection.
yes.
Okay, if you can suggest something that.
Yes, so the TZ 470 is basically, yeah. Sorry? Yes, it's already active. Yes, it's already active.
yeah, but you need to make sure that they are onboarded on
Check,
NSM.
yes, exactly. Check that you have established these devices on your NSM interface. Okay, that you, yeah. So back to you. So the TZ 400 is one of the firewalls that we have that's in the mid-range of the entry level. Okay, so we have the TZ series, we have NSM, the NSA series, and then we have the NSSP. Okay, the TZ series are the entry level, but in that there's the TZ 270, 370, 470, 570, 670. Okay, so the TZ 470 falls in the middle. So basically, it's in the middle of the entry. Then you have the NSA 2700, 37, 47, 57, 67. And then we have the NSM, that is the higher end, which is mostly for big organizations like thousands of users, maybe ISPs, okay, or even an organization that is looking for a very high throughput, okay, and to handle big number of locations and users, okay. We have already, many references here regarding the NSSP, but it's based looking at the size of your network. I don't think NSSP is a good fit for you. NSA might be, but not NSSP. So back to your question, TZ470, we have the option of even purchasing a new device, or if he has an old device that you want to refresh, he can go for the secure upgrade. Now, what is the secure upgrade? Secure upgrade is typically the same price of buying a new device. Okay, same thing. I want to buy, let's say, a laptop with the Windows on it, or I want to buy a laptop with the Windows on it. Then we have there's the same, right? Why are you offering me something and calling me an upgrade, but it's the same? So they pay the same, they get the same, but what after this they get 1 year of license for free. Okay, so instead of paying for 2 years, you're going to pay for 1 year. And trust me when I tell you that when we do secure upgrades for big volume of firewalls or big firewalls, okay, the saving is huge, thousands of dollars. Okay, so it's not just like, it's not a gimmick. Okay, it's a real thing that yes, this additional license is actually for free. Okay, and it's if you think of it as the investment over the 2 or 3 years, because we have the 2 years and the 3 years options. We do not have the 1 year option. Why? Because the second year anyways is for free. So we're gonna right. So there's no 1 year secure upgrade. It's gonna be 2 or 3. Okay. The investment over the 3 years or the 2 years, if you do the math, is going to be really nice. So now your question is, yes, they can go for the TZ470 secure upgrade if they have an older device. They can go for the essentials, but in this case, they can manage it only locally. They can go for the advanced if they want to manage it from the cloud. How many devices is it? 2 devices. 2 devices. My advice, go for the advanced, not the NSM. Unless you're planning later to expand, then in this case, it's fine. When you do the renewal, don't renew the advanced, renew the essentials and take NSM. So for now, go for the secure upgrade advanced. Secure upgrade advanced. Then you will get the, and trust me, go for the 3 years. It's much feasible. If you do the math over the 3 years, you'll see that you're going to be saving some good money. Around 1.5 years for free, like around 18 months for free. So go for the secure upgrade 3 years advanced. That's going to be good for you. You can manage it, but you'll have 7 days of reporting only. Yeah. Are you interested in more than that? Do you want like 1 full year of reporting? I don't think so. To be honest, 7 days is good enough. Yeah. Because just reporting, right? It has nothing to do with the management whatsoever. It's just for the reporting. So you can pull the report every week, back it up, that you're okay to good to go. They can automate the reporting, right?
Yeah, scheduled reports can be
So
done.
put a scheduled report every week, then you don't need the 365 days. There's no point.
See, only with 365 days, one is the time and second is this part. So that is analytics, which is much more drilled down.
Yeah.
This is available with 365 days, that is NSM advanced only. So for example, let's say you want to see all the source going to application. So you'll see, I'll be able to see these applications. These are the IP addresses connected. Okay, show me all the users who are using application. So you'll see here, I can then say, okay, show me. So it is showing which user is connecting to which application. I can change.
Definitely more comprehensive.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
But I don't think.
But depends on the data.
For low number of firewalls, you don't need to go for that. If I want to sell it to you, I would insist and push it. But I don't think you need it, to be honest. But for people who are having like this number of firewalls, yeah, I think you need to consider when you want to go for the upgrade, you need to consider an NSM. Trust me. The moment you start getting into like 10, 15, 20 firewalls and above, you need to consider the NSM. Okay, it's not because, by the way, yeah, it's not an expensive thing that we sell. It's not considered to be expensive anyhow. What I'm saying is that for me, it's very important that my customer does not feel the heaviness and the load that, oh my God, I need to manage all of this. Okay, so if he's comfortable, fine. Then I've done my job as being his advisor. Okay, and this will make your life easier. Okay, especially again, as I said, especially if you start considering it, maybe you're gonna download later on. Any of you download, for example, the capture client, the endpoint security. Maybe you will like it. Okay, and then say, okay, well, let me see, and I'll upgrade my firewall. And now things are getting even more as technology is. You're getting more items now being put on your table. NSM would be a good solution. Low quantity, you don't have to bother. When you have much more technologies and quantities, start considering NSM. Okay? It's a management tool at the end.
And one more thing is, if you are upgrading from SonicWall or from third party, let's say you have any other firewall and one of the main challenge what customers would have in mind is, how do I do a migration? Okay, so we provide, if you just search for SonicWall migration tool, or you can get it through my SonicWall portal also. Those who have SonicWall user will have that. So you'll see here, we provide a free migration tool. This is not charged for partners or customers. So you'll see these are the firewall platforms that we can migrate.
Keep this for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, just take a quick look. So basically, SonicWall obviously is there. If you want to migrate from old device to a new device. But also we can read Cisco ASA, PRX, Checkpoint, Juniper, Palo Alto, Fortinet, WatchGuard, Sophos. This tool can read the configuration of all those technologies and copy it. If you just want to keep everything exactly the same, just copy that setup. It's like when you configure from one mobile to an old mobile, you don't want to change anything. You change the mobile. Similarly, here you can do the same. Okay. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah. So you'll see here. Can select, for example, yeah, and then it'll tell you, okay, these are so you can uncheck this. I don't want zones. I want access. You can get partial.
It can be as well. You
Yeah,
don't have
okay.
to copy exactly everything. Maybe you say, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of the zone.
What will not come? So for example, it is telling you now that if you import Cisco configuration here, zones will come, static route, all this will come. What will not come is VPN. So you only need to configure VPN. Yeah. So you give the configuration and say NSA some model you want to.
Yeah, let's say.
Oh, yeah.
26.
26 for example. And you
To
say,
the
okay,
new one.
yeah, to the new one.
Yeah.
Here you have to map the interfaces. So you say, okay, this is X0, X2, X3, next, and it will give you the configuration, okay, latest firmware, and then you.
How much time does it take usually to read the old firewall?
This is the time, the time which I'm
Yeah,
taking,
go on,
within
go on.
minutes, yeah. So once you finish, you will get the configuration file for SonicWall.
Do you import it?
Yeah, you simply import this
Yeah,
onto
so
the,
basically it took 2 minutes.
yeah, 2 minutes or so.
To
You'll see
migrate from our old device to a new device.
successfully This is applicable for both SonicWall to SonicWall, that is old
Yeah.
firewall to new, or third party.
Or third party.
Except VPN 13.
Except
For Cisco, yeah, the one which I said, yeah.
because we chose Cisco.
Cisco, yeah.
Because we chose, maybe if you choose something else would be missing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not a full compatibility at the end of the day. But at least you don't have to go through everything. See, it might not be only one or two policies. Some companies, they have, hundreds of policies there.
Our majority of the things.
Yeah.
Imagine the nightmare of creating all these policies again with all the NAT and all the, port forwarding, etc. It's a nightmare, right?
You will see. WatchGuard, only VPN.
Yeah,
will
also
not
VPN,
come.
okay.
So FOS, static route,
Yeah, static
VPN,
routing and NAT.
Fortinet, all will come. NAT and VPN you have to configure.
Yeah, so each one has a different thing.
I know about other vendors who charge for this.
Yeah.
The other day when I was seeing a BOQ, they were charging for these tools.
For the migration.
Yeah. So these are some of the tools which can help you out. Other one is, if you go to my SonicWall again, there is a tool called as Wi-Fi Planner. So before a wireless project, you can import the floor plan, mark the areas. This is a glass door, this is a cubicle, and automatically it will give you the heat map. How many access points? So these are some of the free tools.
let me say it in a different word. If you come to buy access point from me and you're not planning to use the heat map, I will not sell it to you. Okay? And it's a free tool. The heat map is a free tool. If you tell me I still want to buy the access point, but I will never use the heat map, I will not sell it to you. Even if you pay me double the price. Why? Because once again, we are not an access point company. We're not gonna throw an access point and it will work like magic. It won't. I'm telling you, it will not. And I have customers who told me I put the access point here and I put the mobile next to it and it was not detecting the signal. This is trash. Your access point is trash. Okay, he's a friend of mine, right? In Oman. He told me it did not work. And again, it was just because the setup is unique for this technology. You need to use the heat map. It needs to understand where's the placement. Is it the ceiling? Is it the wall? How's the setup is done? Where's the reflection? What's the distance between each access point and the other to have it right? So you need to do that exercise to have an optimum performance from the SonicWall access points. Otherwise, if you think that it's just a plug and play, throw it anywhere, it's not. Okay, so yes, the heat map is very critical. You need to use it. You can still get away without it, but don't come and cry to me if it doesn't work. Okay, it's required. You really need a heat map.
Even other vendors as well, if you are doing bigger projects,
Yeah.
heat map, there are.
Everyone. Because you know, with this Wi-Fi 6 and even when they introduced the edition, the frequencies and the interference between the devices is becoming much more common, I would say, right? There's lots of devices, lots of wireless, lots of IoT. All of them are wirelessly connection. They are connected. So basically, this by itself is a challenge. So if you don't do the right setup, you're not gonna get the right result. As simple as that, right?
And the last thing is you'll see under this, there is something called as cloud application security, right? So you'll see, just to give you an idea, so this is SaaS security. So Office 365, here you'll be able to see we are scanning the email, OneDrive and SharePoint, because there are some vendors who focus, if you talk about Office 365, they only do email.
Yeah.
So this is like, why this is required? Because as per research, if you look on some of the reports, Microsoft or Google might miss out. I know about Microsoft, about 10 to 11% of the threats. Because some things, see, as a SaaS platform, Office 365 is wonderful, okay? But Microsoft is not a security company, right?
Yes.
That's where you need vendors like us who are into security. So how this works is this automatically will, with using API, it will connect to Office 365. So what you require, only two things. First is your subscription should be business. Okay, it can be business, E1, E3, E5, all this packages. The reason is because it's not problem for us, because Microsoft will not allow API access. That's one. Second is the admin credentials for Office 365. So once you have these two, you yourself can test this out without any issues, because there is something called as monitor mode. So when you go to this, I'll show you here quickly how many malware it caught. So once you provision this and test, let's say 15 days you test, you will come to know what Microsoft is missing. I did not tell you that you show a report. You will see it yourself. That's the beauty of this, solution. Even for this, there is a free trial available. So only thing is when you do a free trial, admin credentials of Office 365 is required.
It's required, yes.
Yes.
And business.
Business account. That's only.
Okay, we don't know what you guys are using. You guys are all using the Office 365? I assume, right? I mean, I don't know how they invaded the market, but everyone is now using Office 365.
Google Workspace.
Google. Google. Okay, yeah. I mean,
Both, yeah.
These two. I mean, it's available on both, but these two are like all of a sudden, like there's lots of technologies completely died because of how strong Google and Microsoft are. Unbelievable. What kind of security do you use for your emails? Use any kind of protection, or did you buy it from Microsoft or Google itself? Well, how do you protect your email? Anti-spam.
Mine
Podcast.
Mimecast is basically the MTA base, so where you change the MX record and all.
Changing.
By the way, we have MTA based. That is, you change the MX record pointed to our hardware, software, virtual or hosted. We still do that, but this is the next generation of email security for SaaS applications only. Office 365, Google, so which will cover both Drive and email, Box and Dropbox. So that's where it is. Yeah. So you can, so all these, whatever I'm accessing, you have access to this. So simply go to live demo on cloud management and you will get access to all this. Yeah. So if just to show you this, if you see here, there is policy for email, OneDrive, SharePoint. There's an example. Okay, let's say you enable a trial. Okay, you don't want to block anything. You want to just see what Microsoft is missing or Google is missing. You run it in monitor only. Okay, so it will start showing you up all anti-phishing which are missed, time of click, account takeovers. For example, one of the account of your user is compromised. Or let's say, so we call it as Superman login. So I see Nabil coming in from Dubai in, let's say 11 o'clock. And 11:15, his login is seen from Nigeria or some other Russia. Also, these are called Superman logins. So using AI, we will be able to gather that information and show it as an alert. Yeah, that is where you see those in the dashboard. You see this geographical location. Any failed logins, you will get this here. So from where the user is coming in, all that information. So the policies would, so you can have DLP here. Threat prevention, that is multi-engine sandboxing, anti-phishing, all that. Plus, you will be able to do some custom queries. So, for example, I don't know whether it will pull out an alert because it's a demo. Like, show me all the logins which are coming outside UAE. So you'll see who are the users who are logging in outside UAE at this moment. Okay, as an example. Show me all the files which have been shared externally on OneDrive. So you can run custom queries as well. Yeah. It also does email. It is a SaaS security. It's cloud application security for Office 365, OneDrive, SharePoint, email. Because you must have seen some vendors who are talking about Office 365 protection. They will do security only for email.
Okay, but Mimecast, also be different the perception.
Mimecast is also, Mimecast is specifically for email security. That too, they do the MTA based, which means you need to, let's say if you are going for a Mimecast, for example, the prerequisite should be you change your MX record to Mimecast cloud or wherever, and then the mails will be scanned and then routed. This is not the case. I don't know whether Mimecast has it now, the API version. Some vendors have it, like, API version where they can provision like the way we do. For us, the differentiator is that all three apps can be. So if I choose some security solution which is focusing only on email security of Office 365, how are you stopping users from uploading or downloading some malware on OneDrive? Security should be comprehensive across your suite, right? That's the difference. The second difference is let's say there are some customers who see there are a lot of threats coming in on Office 365. Microsoft will sell you capture ATP for some particular dollar, right? So when you go with this, you will not buy Microsoft license only for ATP. For example, what you can do is you can have set of license, whatever is required for your business, and go for cloud application security. So you will save a lot of dollars. Plus, you will get the protection of multi-engine sandboxing, that is 4 engines, scanning your emails, OneDrive, SharePoint, as compared to what Microsoft is doing. So that's the other. No. For this, it is not required. All business plans of Microsoft, you don't require.
Durability?
Yeah.
The last, okay. It's okay. So see, now we have 600 series.
The life cycle.
Yeah.
It's a life cycle of because we can, like I would, by 8 years or 10 years, we can keep either inside the warehouse without AC or anything. Security side, it's okay, but if you are keeping an active for it, maybe 100 active for it, they are spending money.
Yeah.
For 2 years, it's damage.
See, it will not damage. See, because I know customers. See, now the ones which we have now is called 600 series. Before this, there was Sonic Wave. Before that, there was Sonic Point, which we call NI and all. We still have customer using NI, which is like 10 plus years. But what is different is those technologies not updated with, so they cannot do Wi-Fi 6, right?
Yeah,
Like today, when Wi-Fi
he's
6
talking,
is
about
coming,
the build material,
build.
the quality of the device itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So look, any device, whether it's a cheap pen or whatever, if you're keeping it in a controlled environment, it's not gonna wear out quickly. Okay, it will last for 10 or 20 years. Anything. Okay, even a plastic bag, keep it in a humidity controlled and weather and the temperature, it's not gonna die soon. For if you, as you said, the warehouses, for example, high humidity, high temperature, right, dust, etc. That's where we use the outdoor access points.
Outdoor, yeah.
Okay, because it's rugged and it's designed for that. So it will also handle that kind of a weather, harsh weather environment for many years. I don't think we had any issue or we never, that's why I don't have an answer to give you. Like, I cannot tell you 4 years, 5 years, because we have customers that have been using our access point, the outdoor, and they never came for like, well, the hardware failed because of weather or because of the plastic quality, for example, or something like that. So there is no data sheet that I can tell you this is how good it is or this is how bad it is. I don't think any vendor can claim. Okay. But however,
Well, you can check, see, couple of things as a data point, okay? So mean time between failure, that will be given in our data sheets.
Yeah.
The temperature at which it can operate.
that
Is there, yeah,
yes.
like outdoor plus 60
Like,
degrees.
it
also
can,
you
it
need
can
to-
achieve
yeah.
65 degrees.
Yeah.
So it can,
But there'll be some requirements for ruggedized model. We don't have ruggedized for now.
No.
Yeah.
yes, yes. You want to see, you want to know how good it is in terms of build quality, yeah. And as again, it's not going to be the tough device if it's an indoor. It's not, because usually they have to be a little bit elegant as well, because again, this is a visible unit, right? And most of the people, they mount it to the ceiling or the wall. You can see the access point, so it has to look nice. So usually it's not a rough, material used. Usually hardened plastic and stuff like that. The ones that are outdoor, it has some metal pieces as well, and it's more it's not ruggedized, but it is rugged. I would say it is high durable device. If we know you have asked this question, we can work one with us to show you. But you're most welcome to come to our office and we can show you a couple of prices. No problem. Yeah. If you're interested, let me know. We'll put our contact details now at the end. Contact me or others, and we can meet up. We can show the device, not a problem.
We will facilitate, we'll facilitate.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you want to arrange that kind of demo.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, no problem, no problem. We'll bring you back.
Anybody who is online, any questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Proof point.
Yeah.
But what is actually the value add here? You say mostly people use emails.
Correct. Yeah.
Mostly office is email. Can we have?
Yeah. So when we talk about emails, right? There can be two types of emails solution what customers might be using. One is on-premise. So they have an Exchange server sitting in their data center or in their office, right? So that is called on-prem solution. So how do you secure it? Because that Exchange server needs to be secured, right? All the email. So there are technology which was called MTA, Mail Transfer Agent. So what happens is if you have a mail server, say consider this is your mail server. In front of this mail server, we will put a mail gateway. So this is the security device, which is sitting in front of your. So what is the purpose of this? So you change your MX record to this device. Okay, if it's in your data center, in your DMZ, you change the MX record here. So all the traffic will first come here, let's say inbound traffic. This MTA device or your mail security solution will scan it, and only good emails will go to your mail server. Okay?
Yeah.
This is inbound. Outbound, if somebody is sending spam or so, all those will be again done by here, because in the exchange server connector, you will say my next stop is this. Okay, that's how all the outbound mail comes to the security solution. This is a MTA based solution. So who are the vendors who do this? If you take Barracuda, SonicWall, Proofpoint, all do this MTA based. Okay. Then when people started moving from on-prem to cloud, so they went to Office 365, right? So what vendors did it? This same MTA, instead of putting it in a hardware, they put this in the cloud. So what Barracuda will say, SonicWall will say is, okay, you change the MX record, point it to my cloud. I'll give you hosted.sonicwall.com. You change the MX record there. The mail come to our cloud. We will scan it, but the technology is exactly same. They took the MTA, put it in the cloud.
Yeah.
Okay. For outbound also in the mail server, even if it's on premise also, you need to point the connector to our cloud. That's how email security used to work till now, and even still is prevalent for customers who are using on-prem. So do SonicWall have a solution? Yes. Hardware, virtual, software, hosted, all this is there. Now, when things started moving out, and becoming all cloud, right? What is the challenge with this MTA is, first is when you're using Office 365. Are you using only email on Office 365? No, right? You're using OneDrive, SharePoint, and other applications. How do you secure this? So what is the challenge? These MTA are focused, as the name suggests, mail transfer agent. So they're focusing only on email. They're not scanning your OneDrive and SharePoint. That is one. Second is that you require, for the first MTA technology, you require changes to be done. MX record needs to be changed. You will have a downtime for doing all this. Yeah, configuration on your server needs to be done all this. That's the second thing. Third and important thing is when you have the MTA solution, okay, it is something like sitting at the main door. Okay, so if somebody is going out or coming in, it will protect. If I am sending bad emails internally, that gateway will not stop because it's a mail transfer agent gateway solution. So if I'm a spammer, let's say my machine gets infected, I'm sending internal bad emails. Okay, that gateway will not stop. This is the third important thing. So these are some of the things which are missed out by. So now what happens is then there are solutions which are API based, like cloud application security. So what we do is we directly integrate with Office 365 or Google and do what? We scan the emails, we scan OneDrive, we scan SharePoint. Okay. Other vendors are able to do this. There are some vendors who are able to do this. Example, okay, because you mentioned Barracuda, I'm telling you this. Say Barracuda will say only email. Ask Barracuda whether you can, scan OneDrive and SharePoint. Okay, or any other vendor. So the answer most probably will be no, because they're focused on email. But you as a customer, if you want to secure your cloud, do you want to only secure email or the entire cloud? All the cloud, right? So that's where this solution is different. The other differentiator is Microsoft or all these vendors in terms of unknown threats. Again, the differentiator is 4 sandboxing solution versus 1. That's the other differentiator. How it becomes easy for you as a customer, there is no MX record change. There is no downtime required. No additional, some agents and all, because everything is API driven. It is virtual inline sitting behind Office 365. That's how it works. And also, it's not only for these, even if you have OneDrive, not OneDrive, Box, Dropbox, you can still do security of those files.
Yeah.
Yeah, clear?
Yeah. Thank you.
So basically, in short, it's not an email security.
Yeah.
Okay, it's anything that is provided on a cloud
Yes.
application that can be secured.
Yes.
The usual suspects from,
Yes.
the whether it's
Yeah.
Google, Microsoft, etc. So these applications which are being provided on the web, on the cloud, you need to protect them. It's as simple as that. When people go for the package of Office, for example, they're not going to get only the email, they'll get as well along with it the OneDrive, etc., whatever being offered by Microsoft. So it's not just focused on email security. That's the idea.
That's what it's called, cloud application.
Cloud application.
Yeah, cloud application.
Security.
Yes, CAS.
CAS.
Yes, yeah.
That again,
It is exactly same what even Microsoft has one component called as CAS. Okay,
Oh,
the name is
yeah.
same, yeah.
Yeah,
Cloud
yes.
application.
But, I mean, how creative can you be when you want to secure the application that is on cloud?
but then it actually count on the email users or number of users.
It's per seat. It's per seat.
Per seat, yeah. So the question from online, the mail security solution is hosted inside UAE. Is it local cloud? Okay. So if you are talking about our hosted email security, that is MTA based solution. This is hosted. So there is option of either using Europe or US. Even for our the cloud application security, we don't have a local instance here. So either you have to select US data centers or the Europe. So these are the two options which are available. Any other questions?
Is that, I mean, if it's local cloud, is it hosted inside the UAE?
No, not in UAE.
Sir, I have one question. Suppose
Yes.
I am receiving an email. I mean, I don't have an email security in place.
Okay,
For example, I only have maybe a capture client.
okay.
Open, it's actually maybe pointing at another domain and the third party, he take the control. This is mostly kind of threats are happening.
Uh-huh.
This is, even endpoint also will not get protected now. You could have email security cap, is required, right?
So can you
Suppose and this is the way, mostly an unsolicited emails will come, people will open that.
Yeah.
Then that, when you open it, it will point it to another domain. Maybe
yes,
that party
yes.
will, another person remotely will access.
Yes,
But
correct.
this protection is, this can be protected by using whether I don't have an email security in place, I already have an endpoint protection.
Yeah.
Whether it gets protected with this.
Will it be protected using only the endpoint?
Yeah, that's what the question.
Okay, see, I'll tell you. So now when you're talking about cloud email, right? So what will happen is, let's say if you put security onto the cloud, okay? So in security, there is concept called as early detection. So the more early you detect the threat, the better, right? So let's say for some reason, even if you have cloud security and then solution did not catch one file.
Yeah.
It is on your endpoint and you downloaded it. That's why we call the endpoint solutions as the last line of defense. So if your network fails, if your cloud fails, and then it comes to your endpoint, what is the best last line of defense for you? That is the endpoint. So endpoint should be strong enough to understand these kind of advanced threats. That's where EDR comes into picture, the endpoint detection and response. If you are using a older traditional, signature based technology, it will not detect because that file which is there, if you look at some of the latest threats, there might be a file with a link. Okay, that link goes to some other link. It has a chain. So this traditional antivirus will not be able to, block that attack chain. No. That's why EDRs will do. That's where you'll see under EDR that attack storyline, how that threat is moving, all that. So that's the solution EDR you need to have.
These all are connected with one solution, and cloud and firewall, everything connected with one solution.
Yes and no. Okay. That's a very interesting question as well. See, because that's a perfect question to be asked, okay, to SonicWall, because I'll tell you. Now, there might be one number, some vendor, okay? He might do exactly like the way we do, okay? He has endpoint, firewall, all this, okay? Now, what is the differentiator of SonicWall is the management is from the single console, but our threat intelligence is different. What we share is the capture ATP sandboxing across. Now, if you take our example of our firewalls have their own engine of RFDPI and all that. Capture ATP, that is multi-engine, is attached. Okay. Now you take endpoint. Endpoint is not our own engine, right? it is coming from SentinelOne. So what you get as a customer, you get protection of SonicWall, 4 sandboxing engines, 60 plus vendor database that it checks for unknown threats, plus SentinelOne's intelligence of EDR, right? So which one is better? Which having a same vendor giving you multiple solutions from the same threat intelligence or different? That's the difference, right? Now come to email security, the cloud application security. Cloud application is completely different vendor, completely different OEM, technology is different. So let's say now you're using our firewall, endpoint, and protection for your Office 365. So you're getting SonicWall, SentinelOne, plus these third party, plus 4 engines of SonicWall, which are 2 from third party. So that's where the difference is for SonicWall. Hope that clear your doubt, right? Because that's a perfect question here. Yeah. So the management plane remains same, but the engines and threat intelligence for each of the component might be different. Okay. Question. Okay.
All showing here, no, not all of us.
Those are online, please smile.
You know what, let's ask someone to come and take a photo for us, better, because I think if we do this way, yeah, now.
We are taking a group photo here.
That's what. Yeah, from here. Yeah, this is good, all right, yeah. Are we all showing, there in the corner, you're hiding, okay. Okay. Done? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are online.
Thank you so much.
You want to conclude?
Yes, so basically, if you guys, gentlemen on the line, I don't know actually if you're still with us or yeah, it seems that they're still there. Please let us know. We did not hear your questions other than in the chat. If you would like to unmute yourself, ask a question, feel free to do so. And also, gentlemen here, if you still have any more questions, please let us know. If not, we will jump into lunch. We cannot deliver to the gentlemen on the teams. But we'll do it later. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us for this session from SonicWall. So I think mostly things have been a little more clear on the down the line. SonicWall, it had been a legacy firewall for us, it's almost 25 years.
Yes.
We have been promoting this firewall, SonicWall. Also, I think I can say that they revolutionized the UTM device when the concept was come out. Then other people have followed. That's what I've been in the company for almost 25 plus years. So that's what I learned from them.
Yes.
Thank you very much for Nabil sir and Atif sir joining with us. Lunch is already ready. Please
Yeah.
join with
Awesome.
us and join.
Let's
Thank
eat.
you.
Let's eat. Yeah.
Those are online. Yeah.
Can you put the QR code for our contact details?
Yeah.
We'll present the QR code. Take a
Okay,
photo of
those
it.
who are
Contact
online,
details, myself, reach out to us.
I'll share my screen so that you have mine and Nabil's contact number.
And you're planning for the next year, some few upgrades as well, right? And
Okay.
right?
So you have the QR code, you can take a picture.
Yeah.
Those you are online as well. And after that, we will close off here. Thanks everybody who is online. Thanks for joining. Hope this session was useful.
So, yeah, you just need to take a snap of each, scan each of them. Each one will be one of them is my contact